Mira Business FM. It's the morning drive with me, Tim Elliott. We are live on the website, mirabusiness.fm, across your socials. I think that's an okay phrase. info@mira.fm to get in touch. whatsapp.mira.fm so you don't need to remember the phone number. Subscribe, give us a like, let us know what you think. Now, let's talk careers, medical careers, and talk to a consultant in family medicine. Dr. Mufaza Azra Rashid is joining us over Zoom. Dr. Mufaza, it's a pleasure to have you on the show. Morning. I think you might be muted, Dr. Mufaza.
There we go.
There you
great.
go. It's, do you know, that's
Right.
it's always the way with Zoom. You're always muted when you never think you are. And with me,
Yeah, absolutely. Although it was right in front of me. But yeah, thank you so much, Tim. It's a pleasure being with you.
Well, it's nice to meet you. Let's start with your credentials, I guess, first of all, just to find out a little bit about you. You're close to, 25 years as a qualified doctor, 15 years with the National Health Service in the United Kingdom. There really are a few areas I'd like to cover with you today, starting with what you do, the role of family medicine. I think that's really important to take a little bit of a deep dive on. The research you've taken part in and created, and also your charity work, because there are many strings to your bow, Dr. Mufaza. But first of all, what inspired you to pursue a career in family medicine?
Well, it is quite an interesting question, actually, because when you qualify as a doctor, there's so many fields in front of you, and you just have to kind of choose because it's whatever suits your personality, whatever you're passionate about. So if you're choosing a particular specialty, that means that you're only exposed to patients of a certain type. Whereas in family medicine, you are working across a whole age group range, across a whole condition range, and there's a lot you can do which you would not do if you were in a particular specialty. When I say that, I mean that you're kind of a jack of all trades, but you are kind of making a difference across the patient's whole life rather than just one particular problem in one particular system of the body. So when a patient comes to see you, you are interested in their social aspect. You're interested in their financial background. You're interested in everything that they're about, so that you can make sense of why they're experiencing the problem that they have and what impact the other things in their life can have on it. You know the whole family, because if you are, as a family physician, looking after their whole family, you know the family dynamics, and those things influence health a lot. There's no condition that you cannot discuss as a family medicine, although obviously you have limitations in terms of how far you can go and how far you can pursue independently, and then you have to refer at a certain point if you cannot manage it on your own. But as a whole, you know the person as a whole, and that makes a huge difference in the health outcomes.
You see, I find this really interesting because family medicine is exactly that. It's that understanding of the whole kind of health dynamic of an individual or, obviously of a family. Consultants in particular areas, I have some experience of this. I've had a few medical issues over the last few years, and I've talked to a number of different experts in different things. And sometimes I kind of think to myself, where's the bedside manner with you? Because it can be a little bit more matter of fact. Whereas a family doctor like yourself, you've really got to be able to drill down and understand people. And I think that's a very particular kind of calling, a particular kind of skill.
Yes, absolutely. And also, it just builds up a patient relationship that is quite unique, and the patients trust you. And so, a lot of the times when they may not disclose certain symptoms or certain things that they've never met the person before. Whereas as a family physician, if they've seen you over and over again, they know exactly, they feel comfortable talking to you. So that discloses a lot of information that can be so much helpful in managing their conditions, and which can range from physical to mental to anything.
One of the things we do here at Mira Business FM, on probably about a weekly, bi-weekly basis, is we talk to people in particular careers just to get an idea of why they decided to follow the path that they've followed. I'm wondering, with you in particular, a career in medicine is a huge number of years studying. It's a huge amount of work. It's really a life commitment, and it's, I guess, a vocation. But what do you think, if you can put this into words, the most important qualities for a really successful family physician are?
Mm. Yeah, you're absolutely right there because it's a long process, and I think the times that we're living in now, it's the children or the up and coming young generation have a lot more options than I did at the time.
Mm.
But at the same time, if you are passionate about it, if you work with, if you like working with people, if you like making a difference to people's lives, I think that's very important because I still meet certain young people because I have worked with the faculty of Royal College in and the University of Nottingham with the careers advice with students. So you see those students who do stand out in terms of their commitment, and they regardless of anything, the number of years or the hard work involved, they do want to pursue that because they have that in them to make a difference to somebody's lives. Because medicine, although it varies across countries, but it is less money focused, but that can be argued. But it's because there's so many lengthy numbers of years of training involved with probably not as much remuneration as some of the finance or economics sectors, or so it does involve certain amount of commitment which is for less benefit for a certain degree, and then more focused on, particularly in when you're training in the NHS, it's very patient focused, and it's not driven by cost or profits as such. Well, it may differ in other parts of the world, but the ethics of it and everything comes down to the fact that there's there's ethics of being a doctor is that you are putting a patient first and you're putting everything else secondary. So if you have that in your personality, if you feel that you can you have got an academic head and you've got a thinking head, and the fact that you're good with people, you can speak to people, then it is a career. But for you, but you have to think it through because it's years and years of a lot of hard work, and the learning never stops.
There's a sacrifice to be made, isn't there? Particularly in terms of, if you do a 7, 8 year, however long your particular medical degree is. So it's kind of a calling. You kind of have to, take a Hippocratic oath. You kind of have to make an oath to yourself, I guess, as well, if this is something that you're going to pursue. Um, could you just talk us through, describe some experiences of working with patients of different age groups, because you're really in that bracket where you can really speak to
Mm.
this, I think, from infants all the way through to seniors.
Yeah, so it's an interesting day you have, particularly if you're a GP in the NHS, that your day can be seeing anywhere up to 40 patients. Plus, if you're on call, then you're taking phone calls and emergencies from patients at home. So you 1 minute you'll have a baby brought in by a mother. The next patient might be a young person, mental health issues. The third person might be an elderly patient. So you have to. That's why the training is very geared around how to do this in a time efficient way and not missing any serious concerns. So this is just what our training is all about. So if it's a child, you approach it differently. You have to consider all aspects. You have to consider the safeguarding aspect, and often you will realize that once you are speaking to the mother or somebody, you pick up signs of where the child may be at risk, or health wise, or the safety. So that all those aspects, and it's playing in the back of your head all the time, what things you need to think about with the elderly. As you know, as the UK and elsewhere in Europe as well, there's a rise in elderly vulnerable population, so a
Mm.
lot of elderly with chronic disease. So you have to allow them time, you have to adapt your consultation skills to their needs. You may need to wait longer, you may need to speak to them in a loud tone. You may sometimes they're just there to vent, and they want to somebody to speak to. So you have to have the patience and the skill to actually to have a conversation of that sort with them. You can have a patient come in with who's young but has severe mental health issues and doesn't open up and is sitting there quietly, and you have to make sure that they're not self-harming, or they're not going to, when they walk out, they're not going to harm themselves. So there's a lot of challenges. in addition to all the daily simple stuff, you have to keep your eyes open in terms of not to miss anything significant. Because in the countries where your primary care physician is the first port of call, you will see all sorts. You will see the minor stuff, and hidden amongst that will be quite serious conditions which you have to identify and do something about.
So it's really a profession that needs a real level of emotional intelligence, isn't it? And I guess a sense of, what is it? A sense of community, a sense of kinship as well. So if that's you, it's a great thing. But kind of put the financial element aside in some ways, perhaps. What do you think the biggest challenges are that are faced by family physicians, Dr. Mufaza?
Hmm. It varies from place to place. I can speak from a country to country.
Mm,
If you speak from Dubai perspective, I feel that because it is not a very uniform system across the whole place, and different insurances, different hospitals do it differently. So you may not have a lot of access to your patients' past medical history, or the systems are not integrated, so you don't know where they've been, what's been done for them. And I think the patient expectation sometimes is different. So the type of patient you see here is very different to the one you see in the UK. So I'll tell you the comparison in a minute. But also the fact that they're once you have if you manage to refer them on, often you don't see that patient back, and that gets taken on by another specialist. And so the continuity may break there. It's not a generalization, it may be different as well, but often you see that you might lose the patient if but whereas in the UK, if they're registered with your practice, they will come back to the
mm,
same doctor,
mm.
or more or less at least the same practice, and their notes are there. Even they're often integrated, so you can look at them wherever they've been, what hospitals they've been to. So that helps a lot. So in the UK, the challenge is that the appointment times are short. You're looking at 10 minutes, which is often not enough to help with the problem that is severe. Also, to have enough communication, to show the empathy, to build that communication for the patient to open up to you. However, we do continue to do this, and the appointment times have not changed. Also, there are NHS is under cost constraints, and we are seeing problems with access, patients not getting appointments in time, and the government obviously is always focusing on helping with that. But those are the biggest challenges in terms of the cost saving, plus what's best for the patient, and constantly balancing that out.
Do you think that there is a different expectation of on doctors here in the UAE because it is an insurance-based system rather than a state healthcare system? Because there are fees involved here, whether it's a copay or perhaps somebody doesn't have insurance that covers whatever procedure they may require. Are you treated in a different way by patients, do you think?
Yes, definitely. Over here, we have the luxury of time. So, because you're not seeing as much volume of patients, so even with somebody with a simple cold, you can end up giving them half an hour of your time. Sometimes the expectation is to do that, and then you're actively told by your practice that give them as much time as they need,
Mm.
even no matter how simple the procedure is, because the condition is, because they are often they're either self-paying or insurance covers them. Also, the patient expects that you do there's a prescription, or if there are tests, they do have a low threshold of expecting tests, which if they're not needed, then you really have to explain to the patient why you don't need a blood test or a x-ray or something, which is obviously sometimes can be a challenge with the expectation.
Yeah, I do find here I do get sent for tests a lot, and I do tend to come out with armfuls of medicines. But here in the UAE, let's stick in the UAE for a moment. I know that you're a school physician currently. You also get to engage, I guess, with the community in a slightly different way with that. I know that you're keen on promoting healthy behaviour, for example. You hold educational talks and events. How has that added to your skill set?
Yeah, no, it works perfectly because as a school physician, that's part of the role that you have to engage with the community because it's all a public health sort of role where you helping prevent disease and help instill healthy behaviors, especially in children here, the healthy eating.
Mm.
We do diabetes day. We talk about that. We've had the breast cancer day. We do mental health. We in this week I'm doing a talk for staff and parents around perimenopause, and so we do a variety of stuff which ties in nicely with the work that I do in general, plus with the school and involving parents. Because if I am present here as a specialist and make the most of it, that we signpost parents, because obviously we're not doing a lot of active management here, but we are spotting things. And if the parent, if say if a child has some mental health issue, or if they have some sort of we've picked up a sign of some chronic illness, then we can advise parents exactly the pathway they need to take and guide them and follow through the process. And if there's a diagnosis, then we do put an individual healthcare plan in place so that because the child spends so much time in school, so they're correctly managed if they need in school. So it's a great concept because if you see how much a proportion of their time kids spend in school, this health presence and having not really medicalizing their presence at school, but if you're looking at 1800 to 2000 kids in a place every day, a medical presence and kind of guiding the parents, and it's quite reassuring for them as well that if anything goes wrong, so we're in an emergency, or if the child has a condition that needs to be looked after, they have an active presence. We do have children with type 1 diabetes in school, so it just adds an extra layer of reassurance for the parents. We have severe allergies, kids who need EpiPens.
Mm.
We do run trainings for staff, first aid training for staff. So all that, so just helps.
It's also useful, isn't it, when it comes to attitudes towards healthcare, I suppose, to have that presence, because healthcare is changing. Longevity has become a
Mm.
buzzword, and rather than, treating symptoms, it's now more about or moving towards preventive healthcare for patients. I'm wondering how you see this kind of shift, because ultimately, I guess, we're monitoring our health a lot more with wearable devices, and there is a change coming, isn't there?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Because even comparing it to what it was like 10 years ago, I think because of social media, social media has given voice to a lot of people who have brought around this awareness, even though not always all correct. But before the medicine was all about, you go to your doctor if you have a symptom, and then you get the medication for it. That's the standard route.
Yeah.
But whereas now, because there's awareness about spotting things earlier, how to be there's a lot more about exercise and muscle mass and awareness around perimenopause for women, mental health and all that, so people are more aware of their health and they are much more in control and they have a lot more information available to not just wait for a 10-minute appointment with a doctor to understand what's going on. So I think that's it has its pros and cons because you don't know what information around is authentic, which we always advise that you do speak to your doctor before you do anything or take any particular medication or any lifestyle change. But these things have helped change the shape how people feel more in control of their health.
Well, they have. But what do you think, though? I mean, I know that it's really best not to Google symptoms. You do need to go and see a doctor, and that's clearly the best advice. But what do you think when you see, I don't know, influencers on Instagram talking about, medical issues, the medical field in the wrong way? How frustrating for you is that?
Mm. Yeah, it just makes the conversation a little bit longer because if somebody has come in with the preconceived idea, then you have to undo that first without sounding patronizing or without sounding dismissive,
Mm.
and then you have to introduce a new idea. So I feel that geographically as well, the health beliefs vary a lot depending on what cultures they're coming from. So you have to first. I think the patient. What I've learned along the process of this career is that as long as the patient feels listened to and understood and shows and the doctor showing empathy, they will agree to anything that you say and they will take it on board. If a doctor sounds dismissive or condescending or not interested, then they're often less likely to follow your advice.
Yeah, I see. This really interests me because I always feel that I'm very much a vaxxer. rather than anti-vax. So I'm very much a
Mm.
person that follows a doctor's advice because in my head, it's very clear that this is a person who's studied, this is a person who has passed a rigorous test to get to where they are. And I get very frustrated by the anti-vax community. However, I have to understand, and I realize this, that ultimately it is your body, your choice, isn't it? And as long as you're being listened to, I guess it's always going to be that way.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's autonomy, there's health autonomy, but you
Yeah.
have to. Our job is to help people make those informed decisions. So if they know the correct information, often they may have read it somewhere, they may have read the wrong research. So if you explain it the correct way, then it's after that it's their own choice.
Mm.
But the informed decision side of things is important. That they have the correct information so that they can weigh up their own ideas.
Let me ask you a little bit about research. I was reading your bio this morning again, and I know that I really wanted to talk about your career, and I want to talk about your charity in a moment. But I'm interested in research that you're involved with. What are you involved with at the moment?
Yeah, that project I have mentioned in my bio is the something I got involved in 2011. I went to this talk by a renal consultant, the kidney specialist,
Yeah.
who worked at the local hospital, and he talked about a new idea of introducing some safety measures in the primary care to prevent people from developing acute renal failure. It used to be called, like, failing of the kidneys.
Hmm.
That a certain awareness and changes could be made early enough for before patients got really worse and ended up in hospital. So that appealed to me, and I got involved with their project. And that was I was the only GP on their on the commissioning group, what they used to call at the time, doing is in the primary care. So what happens is with it can happen to a healthy kidney, but there are certain people more at risk of developing acute kidney injury, which is, it doesn't mean physical injury. Injury means damage or failure.
Right.
So it is abbreviated as AKI. So it can happen if somebody is severely ill, if they're dehydrated, and the blood flow to the kidney drops, and that can cause problems with the kidney in the short term. And often, when they're recovering, a healthy patient may recover, but sometimes it might lead some chronic problems. But there are people at risk who are taking certain medication. If they're elderly, if they're diabetic, if they already have chronic kidney disease, they are much more likely to have that problem earlier than a healthy person. So you have to spot those at risk people. And then in the community, what we could do was raise that awareness amongst the GPs and the practice nurses to if the patient comes to you with an acute illness where there might be a risk of being dehydrated or severe infection like chest infection, stomach infection, do look at their medication. Do make sure that you look at their blood test previous and arrange a blood test in a 48 hours to make sure they haven't dropped their kidney function. So that was a step to have that decrease the morbidity
Mm.
from this particular, because when they present to the hospital, often it's a bit late, and they end up having a hospital stay too long, end up picking other problems on the way, and then kidney health may not come back to normal. So that was really something that was promoting a very active, healthy prevention, which would have a huge impact on the NHS cost as well as patient outcome and all the morbidity.
I want to talk about your charity work. I know you support a charity that was founded after the earthquake in Muzaffarabad in, what,
Mm.
20 years ago, 2005 that happened.
Yeah, yeah. So that was 2005. I mean, I know there've been way too many natural, unfortunate disasters since then or before that,
Mm.
but that one was particularly bad. I don't know how many people remember that, but it was just the whole region of Kashmir was wiped out. Even Islamabad, the city that I come from, which is a very modern city, an apartment complex collapsed, and they affected people that we knew. So we were in the UK at the time, and my husband, and who's a pediatric intensive care consultant as well. He himself and a few other doctors went out there as a lot of others did, to run a camp in the short term, and they helped a lot of children, and they were on the media, everything. But they spent 2 weeks there, and they performed hundreds of surgeries and all that. But when they were leaving, they thought that there's no infrastructure left in this place. These people have got no aftercare. God knows how long it will take for the government to kind of step in and build the infrastructure again. So
Mm.
maybe this is something we need to think about and have a hospital. So because they all come from high standard NHS mindset, they wanted to have like a very properly made hospital. So it took them about 7 years to fundraise and then open the hospital in 2013, which is completely earthquake proof. It's in the middle of a very beautiful valley, and it caters to the local population, which are very, very impoverished and deprived. So now they're seeing about 30,000 patients a year plus, and the hospital started with 50 beds, and now it's 90 beds and doing a lot more specialties as well.
It's a huge thing to do. You run a children's welfare program there as well.
Yes. So since got involved with the school health, and I thought this is such a great idea, because we are picking up problems in children early, even though living in a very affluent society, and the children are not even at risk much of malnutrition or anything like that. But we
Mm.
we still pick up things, and we are guiding parents. So in a place like that, where there are orphanages in the catchment, where although they're government run and the kids are looked after, but not much attention is being paid to how they're eating, how their mental health is, how if they're growing well, or all that. So with the help of one of the pediatric nurses, set up a health visiting service. So the nurse goes in a few times a month, and in between, if needed, to review children, to make sure that they don't have any acute problems. Plus, she's monitoring their heights and weights and growth and nutrition. And we picked up so many children with nutritional issues, and supplemented their diets. We've added a social aspect to it. We fund activities. We are providing them books and sports goods, and they're playing cricket now, they're playing football, and they just feel of think of that nurse as a mother figure. The other day, a few children came up to her and said, "Oh, can we go on a school trip? Can you organize a trip for us?" So it's very nice to be able to do that. That they can come and ask us for stuff which they otherwise would not have to, because of being under resourced.
Uh, These things are not cheap to run. Hospitals cost a lot of money to run. Programs like this need funding.
Mm.
How do you fund this on an ongoing basis?
Yeah, it's completely charity based. It
Okay.
is the funds, but we've been very lucky that since the outset, the local, because in the UK, a very large proportion of the population comes from Kashmir. So
Yeah.
they felt that this was close to their hearts, and any charity that they were going to do anyway, they then gave it to the hospital. Plus, there are no admin costs in the UK for the charity, so that appealed to people as well. And these were the people, members of community, that we knew personally. So they were also in Islam, religiously, you're meant to give 2.5% of your surplus wealth to charity every year anyway.
Hmm.
So that stream of income then becomes, if somebody dedicates that yearly amount to us, then that becomes a steady income source. With regards to my orphanage outreach program, it is actually a very small amount goes a very long way. Just for an idea, like during the month of Ramadan, we provided them meals. The whole month for 60 children, it cost 4,000 dirhams. So that was maybe one person's zakat money. So it's because they're well children, there very few will have health conditions where they need to go into hospital and have active treatment. A lot of them will need a little bit, or out in the community, or they just need extra nutrition. So that just gets taken care of by, so that a little bit of amount of money actually goes a very long way.
Every little helps, doesn't it? It really does. Look,
Mm.
we're talking to today as part of a kind of a career focus segment here on Mira Business FM, but it's also just really interesting, kind of heartwarming as well to be able to talk to you. You've kind of already said this, but I wanted to finish by saying, look, the thing about becoming a doctor is that it's not really a business. For most doctors, I think at heart, it's a vocation. It's not really a money-making thing. It's kind of a life thing, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's one of those professions that it's your patient comes first, and as a doctor, that instinct is instilled in you, and also you have that instinct that you're very very mindful of your outcomes, and you what your how well you've communicated with your patient, how well you've understood their problem, and what you've done. So it gives you that feeling of fulfillment, if you have done well, and I think you're driven by that. So absolutely, obviously, you have to pay the bills, and it does it does pay, but it's very very focused on the humanity side of things, and which is kind of, sometimes some people are built that way, and that's why those people choose to then go on and choose this as a career.
It's good that you're built that way, I think. Dr. Mufaza Rashid works as a consultant in family medicine, joining us here on Mira Business FM this morning. Great to talk to you. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Tim. It was a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Good
Have
to
a
have
good
you
day.
on. Thank you very much. This is Mira Business FM. It's the morning drive.
FM.
The Morning Drive, we've been talking GITEX for the last hour, rounding up some of the events of day one, some of the events of day two as well, and looking at some of the initiatives, hearing from some of the participants. It would be impossible to talk to them all. There are 25 halls of stands and dignitaries and experts and all kinds of creative and scientific thinkers. Just some of them this morning on the Morning Drive. AI and digital transformation is kind of the theme that we're going to, I think, continue with now as GITEX is ongoing. Expand North Star 2025 is the world's largest event for startups and investors, as GITEX is the world's largest tech exhibition. Expand North Star 2025 marks its 10th edition, 12th to the 15th of October at Dubai Harbour. One of the guys at the event is Ayman Etani. He's the founder of Think Media Lab, and he's with me. It's good to see you.
Good morning, Tim.
Very nice to have you here. You're very welcome. Now, let's start with you. According to your website, you are an entrepreneur, you're a public speaker, you're a digital strategist, you're a content creator. You are also a proud father. So from that, I'm trying to say you're pretty busy, Ayman. What did you originally set out to do of those things?
Well, Tim, you know how it is. We get started and then we add one layer at a time. And then before you know it, you look back and there are so many layers that you've built over the years, some intentional, some not intentional. And here we are.
So it's kind of the onion thing. I'm unpeeling the layers here and trying to get to it. It's almost as though you start something and you get sidetracked. Oh, I'm enjoying this. I'm going to add this to my resume. Let's move on to GITEX. I think we've set who you are. It's final 45th year at DWTC, 10th year, as I said, at Dubai Harbour for Expand North Star. Overall, just your opinion. You've been involved in tech for some years. I won't say how long. You're a young-looking man, but just your thoughts on GITEX this year so far.
So with GITEX and Expand North Star, every year it gets bigger. So let's look at Expand North Star, for example. I've been attending every year.
Okay.
And every year it's bigger and bigger. Bigger in terms of more people attending, more booths, more desks, more startups, more investors, a lot more activities around it. So that comes from intent of making it bigger, providing more value to attendees, to participants. And that's a sign for me that there's intent to grow this and contribute to the economy. And it's a public event, it's a free event. And I can notice the attendees, they're a combination of people who are deep in tech. So they've been doing tech for a very long time, in addition to other industries that are more on the traditional non-tech part, but they want to tech enable their businesses. So they attend and participate and listen to speakers and partner with companies there. There are more than 13,000 pre-arranged meetings there. So a lot of business and opportunity comes through Expand North Star.
It does.
When you look at GITEX as well, it's the 45th year, and it's going to move even to a bigger space together with Expand North Star to the lovely expo area. And so I'm speaking at GITEX. I was there as well yesterday and the day before. Busy. So many people that are there. And what I like about those events, Tim, is if you've been in the industry for a while, it's like a great way to catch up with people in the industry. Everybody's in their own office, behind their own keyboards. This brings everybody together, and you're able to see them and catch up on who's doing what. Second, you keep an eye on what are new technology trends coming up, what are new topics that people are speaking about and curious about. what stands are nicer, bigger, better, who's spending more money, who has bigger teams, who has newer announcements coming up. So there is a lot to be done at GITEX, and there's a lot of excitement. Many people mentioned to me that, did you know that it's going to move to expand to Expo next year, both GITEX and Expand North Star? So for them to point that out, for it to resonate with them, and for them to point it out to others, that means there are a lot of things going right.
It's interesting that you use that word intent, because that kind of sums things up, I think, for an event like this. There are loads and loads of events in Dubai's calendar, but GITEX is at the moment perhaps front and center, because it's that phrase of digital transformation I mentioned earlier. We are in the technology age, and GITEX offers, I guess, proof of intent, doesn't it?
The reason I focus on intent, Tim, is that I participate at a lot of events, either as a speaker or a moderator or an attendee, or supporting one of my government clients. And you can see the differences when there are certain events that are there as a pure business model. Speakers on stage, sponsors to make the money, enough people to make it look busy and to please the sponsors. So that's their business model.
Yeah.
But with many other ones like GITEX and Expand North Star, a lot of it has to do with, definitely there's a business model there, but a lot of it has to do with value to participants, because they look at what can they do for the Emirates, what can they do for people who want to move here, the businesses that are here that want to grow, people who want to, from around the world, who are visiting Dubai for these events to learn how to come into the country. What can they do here? What segments are they here? A lot of people want to know what's happening next, so they attend these speakers. There are so many high-profile speakers that are participating. So that comes from intent to provide that value to more people. And also what GITEX has been doing is it's been expanding globally. They've announced also a few more locations as well this year on a global scale. A few years ago, it was only a handful of cities globally. Now it's a nice long list of that intent and business direction and growth that has been exported to other countries. I know when it came to one of the GITEX in the global areas is one of the people a few people that I know there in that continent. They said they were so happy that such an event came because it brought in the Dubai way of doing business. Registration, email confirmations, speaker list, agendas, a tightly run ship, events in the evening, meetings, investors, and so on. It's usually what they're probably used to is just a random, barely structured event. This brought in the Dubai way of doing business as well. So that stood out for me.
I mean, this is the daddy, isn't it, of events here? It really is. I use that term kind of unreservedly. Let me ask you, what's in your mind at the show this year? What's your kind of lead topic, if you like?
You remind me of a discussion I had with a friend yesterday. He was asking me, should I come? What do I do? And what do you recommend I come or so on? I said, look, if you have a plan, it's great to come. So just randomly coming in, you're not taking advantage of everything that's there. So I gave you an example. For me, for example, I'm publishing a report on popular AI use cases in government. What have good impact, what to keep an eye on because they have strong potential down the line as they grow. Mm-hmm. And I have that as a specific plan in mind. So when visiting GITEX, I look at the government organizations who's publicizing what AI use case, and I have an angle coming in. I know what I'm looking for, and I have those conversations and able to identify the right people there. And in only a few days, my team and I have made a lot of progress towards identifying AI use cases for such a report. So this is an example of if you have something very specific to come in to, you'll be able to do so. Another example, there was somebody who asked for my support on a few things before. I met with her a few weeks ago, and she told me that last year she came into GITEX going from booth to booth. She wants to move to the UAE. She was based in the UK. She wants to move to the UAE, and that was her prime objective of this. So she went around GITEX trying to find the right people, the right organizations. She gave away her resume, her business card. She had good conversations with people. Fast forward a year later, the next GITEX, she's already here in the UAE. She has her first job. And I asked her, she's like, yep, from the effort I did around GITEX, and I met a bunch of people. One of them remembered me a few months out, and they put my name in for an interview, and she went through different rounds of interview, and she came here. So if you come into the event with a very specific thing in mind, you can really benefit.
Let's talk about you a little bit. I mean, I guess that's the beauty of GITEX, isn't it? It's lots of different things to lots of different people. But I like the idea of the plan there, because it really is. It's mind-boggling as you walk in. Let me ask about you. You are is serial entrepreneur a reasonable phrase?
Yes.
We see that a lot. I can see in your eyes that is true. You're the co-founder of multiple ventures spanning AI, artificial intelligence, Web3 technologies, SME business growth advisory. Go back to the beginning of where this started, and that mentality, that attitude that I'm going to do this myself. This is going to be my thing. Where did that come from?
So Tim, it's a combination of different things. I've been fortunate to be in the Emirates since 2010, and the business environment here is done for business. It's open for growth. And being active in the Emirates and putting in the effort, you'll be able to fulfill the ambitions that you want. So one of my ambitions aspect was to properly build the business and to fulfill a certain personal itch of being able to deliver good value to clients and build a solid business model and employ and manage a growing team. That's been something I've been working towards for many years, and it took a while to figure out how to make that work. But I was fortunate enough to do it in a business environment that is open for this. And so to give you an example, the first office I opened up in the Emirates, I said, and then I was asking, so when do you close? He's like, 24/7, 365 days. I was like, look, I'm in marketing as well. So let's be real. End of year holidays, National Day, just give me the actual dates so that I can work my schedule around. The guy was offended. He looked me straight in the eye. He says, "We're open 365 days of the year, 24/7." And that for me was a very clear signal that, look, we're open for business. It's up to you. You want to take some time off and chill and do whatever you want? You can do that. If you want to walk in and do work every day on holidays and end of year and busy period, the infrastructure is here for you to do that. And that was a sign for me that I need to do more in order to properly accomplish and do things here.
Was that the light bulb moment?
Well, it was one of many indicators that I've seen here. So one of the first companies I started was it's a government project delivery organization. Every government organization in the Emirates have KPIs to work towards every year. So they have a strategy to deliver on, and they want to quickly turn that strategy into implementation. And that's where my team and I come in, where we implement the strategy for the government. So some government organizations need some time to ramp up internally to get enough people to implement the strategy, and others, they don't want to in-house this in any case. So we come in with tools, peoples, and processes to help implement and run the implementation of the strategy. And when the government organization has ramped up its employment and wants to bring it back in, we train the team and hand over everything to them.
How easy is that? How straightforward is that now? Because, I mean, governments are across the world. This is not a unique situation. Governments are renowned for their bureaucratic processes. Let's put it that way. And I know that Dubai, the UAE, is trying very hard to streamline as much as possible. There are multiple initiatives to talk about that are trying to get government, the government wheels to grind a bit more smoothly. Is it frustrating day to day? How hard is it?
The government organizations in the Emirates, they work faster than businesses do.
Yeah, I mean, I hear this.
Let me give you an example. So in Dubai, for example, there are more. So in Dubai and across the Emirates, there are more than 50 chief AI officers in government organizations, and those are at the C level, at the chief organization level. I was having dinner with a bunch of other founder friends of mine, and we were talking about chief AI officers and should they get one or not, and what's the government doing. And then I was clear with them saying, look, if any of you today decide that you want to hire a chief AI officer, it's going to take you easily 6 months to find the right one and within your budget and within what you want to do, and then to ramp up and get their plans. The government, within weeks, 6 to 7 weeks, they're able to identify the right people, to prepare them, to groom them, to find paths for them and implement that. So that's a sign for me of how the government moves faster than the business sector. Second, there's a huge intent of identifying AI use cases for government, and that's why I'm excited to publish our report about this. Is many different government organizations want to create impact with AI. So you have, easier AI use cases that you can do with a chatbot and some text and things like this. And there are more impactful ones, and we can talk more about those if you want. And so the government is intentful. It has great intent to identify ways that they can digitize further. They can use AI to simplify things, either for the employees or for people who engage with the organizations. To give you an example, during GITEX, I met with one of the government organizations. All they do is they look at water cleanliness and sanitization, and they sample that, at specific intervals. They use scientific labs. They use digitization. They use AI in order to identify anomalies, cleanliness, germs, and things like this. And I look at it. I was like, I don't know. I didn't know about this before, and I know many other people don't know about this before. That there's a lot that goes in the background to make sure that the water we drink and wash our hands in is clean. So those are examples of how the government can run through things in quite a fast way. And then when they need to go even faster, that's when they look at working with a third-party organization like ours, where they ask us to come in. We're external to the government, but we know the government very well, how they work, their procurement process, their logistical process, and we're able to navigate within that. So when they need to go even faster, they bring in people like us who can work on just outside the government organization, but know the government organization very well, and can come in and out and support and in their implementation as they need it.
Can we talk about particular examples of AI projects at government level? Because it always seems to me that 2 years ago we talked about AI, and AI was it was a buzz phrase. Let's be completely honest. We're implementing an AI policy into our government agenda, and it was all wrapped up in phraseology. And I was always a little bit cynical, I'll be honest. However, now, when you search for something on the internet, there's usually an AI overview of a question that you may ask. And I think we're all really starting to see where AI is and what AI can offer, even if it's just in basic, simple terms. But it is becoming seamlessly part of our lives. I think that's probably a fair statement to make. And clearly there's much more to come. It's much more than chatbots now. But when it comes to Dubai government, the speed at which Dubai government is able to turn around initiatives, you've kind of pointed towards that. Can you point to any particular initiatives that really jump out?
So the reason the government organization in the Emirates have been able to implement AI at a fast pace and faster pace than other government organizations globally is that a lot of the infrastructure and the groundwork they've been doing since the early 90s.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of digitization that's already been done with mobile apps. A lot of what we do as citizens and residents with the government, we use mobile apps for those and websites for those. So that process is fully digitized. And a lot of that, and also a lot of the interoperability between the different government organizations has already been in place for many years now. So adding an AI layer on top is viable and quick because you already have that digitization aspect of it. Other government organizations in the world, and I keep a very close eye on AI use cases, is they're forced to do two steps at the same time. First, to digitize a lot of existing processes that they haven't digitized in a very long time, or they digitized once a long time ago and they haven't touched it, and adding AI on top. So doing those two together is a lot. It's a bigger chunk, right?
Yeah.
So it's the same way like getting healthy. You're asking me today to suddenly eat better, work out more, sleep better, have less stress, and you're asking me for too much to do, and to switch on. I have to start one thing at a time to turn my the process around.
The foundations are not there for the integration in many cases, but here they have been put in place, is what you're saying.
And this is why you observe a faster rollout when it comes to that.
Okay. Let me ask, I'm going to ask, I think this is probably a rambling question, but it's something that's in my head. You're smiling, so you play my game.
I'll give you an honest answer, so go deep.
I'm really interested in your thoughts on something. One of the areas listed as I guess it's a core expertise with you, is AI and machine learning. Machine learning is basically old AI, isn't it? Let's face it, machines were kind of good. AI is that step forward. But for governance and competitiveness, and I'm really interested in the governance aspect, because governance, for me, is really based on trust. And it means different things to different people, but if we're all honest, we're all excited about AI, but probably a little bit wary as well, because the basis of AI depends on the person that, the source material, doesn't it? That's really the key to it. Misinformation is everywhere on the internet. We're all kind of aware of that. It's the trust issue that's really the worry. So governance is incredibly important, I think. I just would like to get your thought on that.
I understand where you're coming from, Tim, with that question.
Yeah.
The questions about governance and how
If I'm
reliable is
wrong,
information.
tell me. I'm very happy to accept, but there's something in my mind. There's a wariness there. Maybe it's a cynicism. I'm not sure. But the source material for making sure that AI works in our favor, for example, is really important.
So the governance aspect and the AI giving us information that's credible, that's correct, and based on the input that it already has, is definitely a topic to bring up and to discuss. And it depends. I'd say the answer depends on what is it you're trying to do with AI.
Okay.
So, for example, I have a lot of discussions with senior leaders, whether in government and in business. And they tell me, oh, I'm an hallucination AI, and how do I trust what's there, and so on. I look at them and say, look, you have enough experience behind you and your experience to know that, look, there's something not right. The same way when you have a new employee show up and they give you some work, you can smell it. You can smell it very quickly and say, look, this is not, something's off here, something's off there. Go back and do this. Go back and do that.
Okay.
So with many of the answers you'd get with AI, especially if you have enough experience, you'll be able to identify, that something's not right for you to trust it or not. That's one aspect. The second part, with so many AI tools and out of so many different governments and so many different business environments, that brings in different schools of thought. So, for example, Elon Musk is building XAI, his own version of AI with Grok.
Yeah.
And they have ChatGPT by OpenAI and Sam Altman and others. So, small things. I wanted lyrics for a song. So I opened up ChatGPT, which tends to be my default. I said, remind me, what are the lyrics for the song? I got this long message about, I can't, and copyright, and wait, I can't give you lyrics for this. And open up Grok. I said, give me the lyrics for the song. It gave them to me.
Right.
Another example is I was in a store and there was a promotion of there was a celebrity. I forgot her name. So I opened up ChatGPT. I said, I took a picture. It's like, remind me who's this person, who's the celebrity. It's like, I can't identify pictures and so on. I do the same with Grok, and then it gives me the answer. So there are different schools of thought there on this. With Elon, he doesn't care much about many different aspects, and a lot of his personal ethos is available in the tools, including swearing and a lot of there. So what I'm trying to say is, you have many options with AI now, and they're growing, and each have their own different school of thought, their own data that they've been trained on. So you're able to look at which one can serve you better, and that can help address some of the governance issues that are there.
I guess I'm concerned with objective truth, though, really. But this might be a different discussion for now. That's probably
Correct.
a
Objective truth
level.
might be a tricky one, 100%.
That's going to be a tricky one. But it's being able to trust where you are, and I guess we trust what we trust, don't we? Is it we pays our money, we takes our choice when it comes to which AI engine that we use, in very simple terms.
I think bias plays a role as well. So if AI gives you an answer that you like, you're going to go with it.
It probably does. Yeah.
Yeah. The same way I know somebody who visits 3 different doctors until they find a doctor that gives them the answers they want.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So.
Well, that's very much the modern age, isn't it? You look great in that outfit, and clearly you haven't looked in the mirror before you've left the house. Look, we've just got a couple of minutes left. Let's look ahead to the next couple of days at Expand North Star. If you were to encapsulate what you hope for from the event, what would that be?
So let's look at Expand North Star, and let's look at GITEX. So Expand North Star, it wraps up today. And a lot has happened over the last few days, and today is the last day for those who really want to go there and benefit from being there, especially that there are so many, everything's there in one plate. Investors, tech businesses, startups, people in industry, people in media, specialist speakers, good events to take part of around the evenings and so on. So
Sure.
There's a lot going on there with this. And then you have Thursdays and Friday left, which is the part of GITEX that continues to remain there. And there's a lot that is still there to happen there. And I know some people who are going in tomorrow with a very specific agenda of things that they have. And also even without an agenda, just walking around and bumping into old friends and people old in the industry that you haven't seen in such a long time. I've been part of those conversations the last few days, like, oh, I know this guy back in 2012, we did this together, or in 2021, we did this together. So it's very clear that they haven't touched base since then, and GITEX can provide that that random encounter.
Okay. Well, I guess some well-deserved R&R is up next for you. It's been a busy few days, I'm guessing. You look remarkably alive and like you've had some sleep, though.
Well, it did take its toll. But yes, today I'm more refreshed than I was a few days ago.
It's been really good to talk to you. Ayman Etani is the founder of Think Media Lab, serial entrepreneur, self-professed serial entrepreneur as well. AI, digital transformation. We got to some of the topics. I had loads of questions for you. Didn't get to them all, but great to meet you. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you, Tim, for having me.
Really appreciate it. This is Mira Business FM. It is just coming up to the news. In the next half an hour or so, we're going to be talking legal matters on the program with our special guest. The TikTok lawyer, Ludmila Yamalova, will be here at Mira Business FM next.
Business FM.
It's the morning drive. It's Mira Business FM. My name's Tim Elliott. If you're with us on the website, mirabusiness.fm, welcome. You could be with us on YouTube, on Twitch, on Rumble, on Dailymotion, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on Instagram. Who knows? X is where the news is. info@mira.fm to get in contact is the email address. Simplest way to get through, however, is WhatsApp. whatsapp.mira.fm. Type that in. That will bring up, or should bring up, the WhatsApp box, as it were. Subscribe, let us know what you think, and if you give us a thumbs up, we always appreciate it. In a few moments' time, we're going to be talking tax. Michelle Carby will be here. She is a financial expert, has her own practice at the Holborn Assets Group, and it's the implications of this proposed, much rumoured, very likely to happen UK exit tax. Very UK-centric story. Nonetheless, a really interesting tax story. That's next at Mira Business FM.
Mira Business FM. You're listening to Mira Business FM.
It's the morning drive at Mira Business FM. I'm Tim Elliott, and we're talking tax now. So, here's the story, the implications of the proposed UK exit tax. I'm joined to talk this through by an expert. She's a financial expert at the Michelle Carby practice under the Holborn Assets Group, which is a financial advisory, international financial advisory. Michelle, lovely to meet you. Nice to have you here.
Thanks, Tim. Nice to be here.
Good to have you. Look, this is I said this just now, it's a very UK-centric story, but I think it's a really interesting story given the background. If you consider post-COVID, anywhere in the world, but in this case in the United Kingdom, the change in government from from right to left in terms of the political spectrum, tax rises necessary to pay for COVID. Much is being written about wealthy entrepreneurs making their way abroad to more favourable tax positions, tax havens even. So here we are, really, and the 2025 budget is looming. It's November the 26th. Financial experts are kind of urgently assessing how this proposed rumoured exit tax measures targeting high net worth individuals and maybe capital gains could redefine wealth planning for UK expats. So it's a narrow window for action potentially. Lots of people fretting about this. Let's start with what an exit tax is. Can you first of all kind of define what it means before we go any further?
Thanks, Tim. In this context, it's not going to be a £500, toll charge at the airport every time, you arrive or leave. It's not that type of exit tax.
Good to know.
It's rather being modelled currently by the Labour government in the UK. And that's where the rumours are coming from. So the exit tax, or how they'd like to frame it, is a settling up charge, because that sounds a lot softer than a penalty or a tax.
It does.
That sounds quite punitive, but a settling up charge does sound a little bit softer and nicer on the ears rather than a tax or a penalty. And what they're currently considering is levying this 20% settling up charge on high net worth individuals, aimed specifically at entrepreneurs, business people, and investors. That's the target audience for this particular tax that's being considered right now.
Okay, so as far as we know, it's being considered. It's been a rumour. Rumours come from somewhere, of course they do. But it is much more than a rumour, and you expect something on November the 26th to be announced.
We certainly do. It was published on the 1st of November by well-respected press in the UK.
Yeah.
Publications like The Independent, The Guardian, and The Times. They all published this 20% settling up tax and went through quite a bit of detail on that particular day. The rumours, they suggest, came from the modelling that's being run right now by Rachel Rees and her team in the UK. And since it's coming from a trusted source, people are sitting up and paying attention and thinking the chances are pretty good that we're going to see this announced in the budget on the 26th.
Okay, so it looks like this is something of this order is going to be announced. It doesn't take a genius, and I certainly am not one, to see the aim is to prevent successful entrepreneurs shifting wealth, cashing out, of course. Big headline recently was, I guess, really the Revolut co-founder Nikolai Storonsky's move to Dubai here. It kind of illustrates the concern, I suppose. What's the current tax situation for someone who leaves the UK for sunnier climes?
Currently, as things stand, you have a 5-year rule that is in place, which means you can move abroad to tax havens or lower tax jurisdictions. The most popular currently being used in all headlines is Dubai, but other options do exist, like Monaco and the Cayman Islands. I think everybody's forgotten about the other options.
The other brands are available, aren't they? Yeah.
Exactly. And everybody seems to be flying to Dubai or just considering Dubai in totality. But it means that you could move abroad to a tax haven and dispose of your UK assets once you're abroad, provided you don't return for 5 years back to the UK.
Right.
So that's a very strict consideration. If you return back to the UK during the 5 years, it will be that you'll be taxed as if you never left.
And is that how much time, if you went back for, I don't know, a wedding, a funeral, whatever, that's not included?
That's not included. We're talking
What's
about
the time period?
moving back to become tax resident.
Okay, so you can spend a certain amount of time back.
You can.
Right.
You can.
you've talked about, it looks like it's going to be a 20% levy on unrealized capital gains. That's the theory. Are there any more details of, I'm asking you for details of rumors, but you know what I
Yes,
mean.
details of rumors.
Yeah.
What we understand from the modeling currently being proposed is that it's on the value of the company. So, for example, if you bought a business at £1 million and you sold it at £5 million, the profit is 4 million.
Right.
Apply the 20% to that 4 million, 800,000 pounds worth of taxation will be levied. Now, they're also talking about a deferment mechanism, which might be quite attractive. So they're not saying you'd have to pay the 800,000 in that example on the day you leave. Rather, they're allowing a deferment mechanism within the modeling that they're doing to say when you sell it, that's the amount of tax that will be payable from the sale. So they're making the calculation on the day that you leave, but the tax will only be payable once that business is sold, for example. So once the gain is actually realized.
Okay. Why is it being considered at this point? What are the mechanics of the reason that the Chancellor, Rachel Reeves, is going to put this in place?
Well, if you consider the current position in the UK, they have a very big fiscal gap to plug. Rumored $20 to $30 billion worth of black hole. The settling up charge will potentially realize £2 billion. That's quite an attractive number to the UK government, and it's not against their manifesto pledge, whereas raising income tax and raising VAT are obvious options, but that would go against their manifesto that they put in place at the last election. So tackling something like this and bringing in the settling up charge would be something that A, they haven't spoken about before, but is in place with other G7 countries around the world. And so they can actually see it working because France, for example, and Germany have this model and it works very effectively. Canada do something similar, and the US do something similar if you give up your US citizenship.
It also, I guess, it kind of fits along party lines. It fits to principles, doesn't it? If you're on the left of the spectrum, so I can understand that. But is this a first step towards taxing the more wealthy, high net worth individuals, the wealthier, I don't know, corporations, as they're seen? Is that maybe
It is. I
where it's
think
headed?
absolutely, Tim. I think it's definitely a step in that direction because I think people feel that if you tax the wealthy, only those people are affected. It doesn't affect the masses. So potentially not too much of a vote loser, in inverted commas.
Yeah.
And perhaps more of a vote winner because you're not affecting everyone across the piece.
Well, to the ordinary working man, the average Joe, if you like, it could be pretty popular.
Absolutely. And the next changes that potentially could happen is once they've tackled this, they could potentially look at restricting pension contributions, for example, because right now you have £60,000 a year that you can pay in pension contributions and get 40% tax relief for high rate taxpayers. So there are other things that they can do, and that this may be the precursor to other things that they can tinker with in the future.
Okay. We hear so much in the UK press, and these are in international stories. Mr. Revolut, co-founder, is obviously the big story, but it's a good illustration. There is so much made of millionaires are leaving the UK, everybody's fleeing, the Labour government are doing this. I just wonder how much, first of all, how much that's a thing, really, in your opinion? Again, I'm asking for rumours and opinions and speculation, everything else. But it is interesting. And could this also stem this stream of people leaving, ensuring that high earners remain UK resident income taxpayers, and whether those determined to go would still go and kind of pay up as you leave, kind of thing?
Look, it's a difficult one, Tim. I think one does have to consider that these wealthy business owners employ a lot of people and they pay a lot of tax in the UK. And consider this, that if these wealthy business owners had to shut up shop and leave tomorrow, for example, how many people does that add to the unemployment numbers, and also reduces the income tax that and VAT that those businesses would otherwise be paying? And that's lost revenue and collateral damage, for want of better words.
Well, it is. It's also, you said something there. If a chancellor of a country is looking to make up a 20 to 30 billion hole, so you've got to find that money from somewhere. And one of the ways is a tax like this, where you raise £2 billion. £2 billion pounds, is a great deal of money. Times that by 5, you get the dirhams. It's 10 billion dirhams. But it's not going to fill a 20 to 30 billion dirham hole, is it? It feels to me, drop in the ocean is a little bit extreme, but it's nowhere near enough.
It isn't, but it is a big number towards a big number.
And that's how it's seen, I guess.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. And there are other changes that the UK government are considering to plug that hole. They're considering all kinds of other options in order to get that fiscal gap plugged. But it is a drop in the ocean if you consider it, and 2 billion against 20 or 30 billion shortfall doesn't seem very much, but it's a step in the right direction.
Okay. Is this just for people heading to low tax jurisdictions, or could this potentially affect people leaving for places with taxes, a similar regime to the UK, if you like?
Well, there are double taxation agreements in place with a number of countries. So the no tax or lower tax jurisdictions, places like Dubai, Monaco, the Cayman Islands, are obviously no tax jurisdictions when it comes to capital gains tax, for example. They also have double taxation agreements in place with the UK, which means you'll only be taxed in one jurisdiction. So if somebody moved to Portugal, for example, they would have a consideration towards tax just at a much lower level.
Right.
So you'll either pay it in Portugal or you'll pay it in the UK, but it will be paid somewhere. But it's important to understand that whilst these are headlines right now and considerations, you do have time to put mechanisms in place. Don't just rush for the exit door and think that's the best strategy, because the UK government are a little bit smarter than most laymen. So rather, talk to people that are informed, speak to your financial advisors, your tax advisors, and get proper financial planning advice before you make rash decisions.
It's such good advice, that it really is, because it's very easy, isn't it? We're bombarded by media, and it's not just reading a paper anymore. It's on your phone screen. It hits you as soon as you wake up in the morning. I'm trying so hard not to head to my phone the first thing in the morning, but that's how it works now. You need to take a step back, don't you?
Absolutely. Don't just rush into things. We do this every day. We work alongside our clients. So it's very important to speak to your advisors, people like ourselves, to make sure that before you rush to the exit, before you panic and press a button and there's no going back after that, rather put strategies in place. There are strategies that would reduce the amount of tax that you would have to pay legitimately. Consider all your options before you fly and make rash decisions, which potentially there's no going back from.
We should point out at this point, it's about avoiding rather than evading
Correct.
isn't it?
And
That's
reducing rather than evading.
exactly right. You mentioned capital gains tax there for a moment. Why would you not just get rid of capital gains tax relief that non-residents it's applicable for certain non-residents who sell UK assets? That's been done before, hasn't it?
It has. As things currently stand, there's capital gains tax on the sale of investment property, for example.
Yeah, exactly.
Not your main residence,
Yeah.
but investment property. So there are taxes in place, and that's circling back to what I just mentioned earlier. Rather than knee-jerk reaction, put proper, robust plans in place so that you could take advantage of the reliefs that exist today before any changes come into place, and don't necessarily just believe the headlines and rush for the exit, because strategically it may not be the right thing for you.
You're thinking about this in some detail. This is what you do day to day. This is something that you obviously sit and kind of discuss and ruminate, and you take advice, and you come up with your own way of approaching your clients, I guess. Can I ask you to kind of not speculate, but just offer, put forward a thesis, if you like, the predicted kind of consequences of this, the concerns. What do you think, assuming this exit tax comes in and it affects you in your clients in some way, what do you think it means?
I think for the clients that take advice, I think it means it's business as usual. For you, don't panic. I think holding companies are a good option, and certainly because of the way taxation is levied in the UK and the way that you can take out dividends and make those payments to holding companies, and then from your holding company you can invest in a number of things that offers layers of protection. So there are strategies there that will allow you to reduce the amount or mitigate the amount of capital gains tax that you need to pay, rather than yourself as an individual, because you don't have that layer of protection in your individual capacity. So again, just highlighting the importance of taking robust financial advice.
We had a guest yesterday talking about personal finance, and I remember somebody saying to me years ago, fail to plan to fail.
100% right.
Which is, I know it's a cliche, and I know I've said it twice in 2 days, so I should probably do some more research, but it applies in this case, doesn't it? It's so important to think it through and to not just flail around worrying.
Absolutely, because there are anti-avoidance measures in place. There are other loopholes, if you like, that were closed a long time ago or are closing in the next budget. So it's really important to work with the experts and understand what the consequences of your actions are going to mean, rather than just, pressing an exit button and hoping for the best.
Yeah, and don't believe your friends are like, oh, it's definitely going to happen. Oh, yeah, there's no doubt. Oh, oh no, you got to sell that. Yeah. Last question. It looks likely that this is going to happen. Most observers agree. Rumors like this come from some kind of foundation of truth. But what if it is just a rumor? Is there a chance of a curveball here that you don't expect? I mean, again, it's a speculative question, but
Look, there's always a chance it doesn't happen. And I
Yeah.
think business owners and entrepreneurs and investors in the UK will breathe a massive sigh of relief.
for sure.
But it's not to say that it won't be considered in the future. It just gives you more time.
Okay.
So time gives you an opportunity to plan and to put robust measures in place, and plan with the knowledge that it's a consideration today. It might not come in tomorrow, but there's no saying that it won't come in the future. And having proper financial plans and strategies in place is never a bad thing.
Because it wouldn't be the first. I'm kind of glad you answered it in that way, because it wouldn't be the first time that the Chancellor, and famously it's always the Chancellor outside in Downing Street with the box on the way to the Commons, That's always the picture. But it wouldn't be the first time that something long rumoured has not come into effect.
I agree, Tim, but I'm also cognizant of the fact that the government are running these models right now,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
they're briefing on them right now. So
I was
these,
looking for a glimmer of light, and you kind of switched all the lights off in the tunnel.
I'm sorry. But I think they have to look at as many opportunities as they can. So this is a good option for them to consider. Not saying it's the only option, but it's a good option to consider, because certainly last year when they brought in the changes for inheritance tax, those were big problems. How those affected the farming community and farms that have been in families for generations, and where they had some reliefs on inheritance tax, those were going to affect them that very day. And there was a lot of pushback.
There really was.
And you saw farmers driving from far and wide and going into central London on their tractors, and putting demonstrations in place just to let the government know how disillusioned they were with those changes and what that meant for the farming community and for the very people that actually deliver food to your plate.
Yeah.
So that was something that wasn't foreseen and wasn't rumored before it happened. It just happened. And those people were really badly affected because they didn't have the opportunity to make any changes or to make any plans and put different measures in place. It was just something that happened, bam, on that day. So at least with having these rumors, it gives people the opportunity to sit up and pay attention and say, actually, I haven't done anything to date, but if this was to become a reality, what can I do in order to set my camp up and make it as robust as I possibly can?
It's a hard thing to talk about tax. It is, but you've managed to do it in I was going to say a delightful way. I've enjoyed talking to you about tax. I think it's the first time I've said that. I honestly think it is.
I know, Tim. Thanks so much. Tax isn't meant to be taxing, but certainly it's complicated.
It is. Okay. The implications of the proposed UK exit tax. Michelle Carby is a financial expert. She has her own practice under the Holborn Assets Group. They are a financial advisory, an international financial advisory. Very UK-centric story, I know, but November the 26th is literally around the corner. We will find out then. Michelle, I've loved talking to you. Thank you.
Thanks, Tim. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it. This is Mira Business FM. Still to come, we're talking gold this morning, just after 10, with Jeff Rhodes. Jeff, I think, is back in town as well, so he'll be joining us in the studio to talk about what's happened this week in the rollercoaster life of gold in 2025, and also cars later on in the show too, on Mira Business FM.
Mira Business FM.
It's the Morning Drive. I'm Tim Elliott. Just a reminder, you can find us on YouTube. We are streaming there. We're on Rumble. And if you want to find us elsewhere, the easiest way, rather than me going through a laundry list of items, which is fine, but I know, just search Mira Business FM. To contact us, info@mira.fm. That's the email address. And to get in touch, send us a voice note. Let us know what you think. To get in touch over WhatsApp, very simple, 522 +971 if you're outside the UAE first, 522-789-567. You can get in touch directly there. Digital hygiene, until yesterday, was a new phrase to me, I have to be honest. And I just heard it and thought, I kind of like that. I know buzz phrases are the thing, but it refers to the practices and guidelines that help individuals maintain a healthy digital presence, protecting personal information from cyber threats. And there are many. Our world has never been more technology-centric. This year, more and more bricks and mortar businesses, solutions are moving online, and in particular in the last 5 years, really since the pandemic, since COVID as well. Digital acceleration isn't without its risks, though, and so digital hygiene, or cyber hygiene if you prefer, is now a thing. And it's, as I say, a set of guidelines, best practices to help us keep our digital life healthy. Muzammil Sheikh is with me. You're a digital guru today, Muzammil.
Today.
That is how I'm going to describe you. First of all, everything I've just said there, is that a decent definition of what we're calling digital hygiene, do you think?
I mean, it's a catch-all phrase at this point, and so we have to use a word to grab people at some point. And
we do.
It has to, like broadband is a catch-all phrase. Similarly, you could say, I think, to start off, privacy is the most important thing, which is people don't understand the nature of it. Privacy and security are similar but not same. Privacy is easier to maintain. For example, easily LinkedIn. You can go into LinkedIn and there's a feature there where you can disable your last name to be fully seen. It will be just to initialize it. Also, people make the mistake of being on LinkedIn and using their complete passport names for some bizarre reasons, which might be 4 or 5 names there.
Okay.
All of these simple things can be done immediately to reduce your footprint, attack footprint in the digital world.
It's interesting that because the simple fact is we're all online all the time. We're all guilty of doom scrolling or spending too much time on one particular favored social media app. Everybody's doing it. All ages are doing it. And really simply, we share too much, don't we?
We are leaking information deliberately and, of course, by design of our lifestyle, digital lifestyle. And what ends up happening is that easy example I want to give to people is that they have a single email address for everything, banking, social, and CVs and everything.
Right.
And that's a huge risk factor because email coming to a separate mailbox, a separate email. For example, it's only your bank accounts. You will know that, okay, only your bank accounts will contact you there. And if you don't spray it out in the world and leave it, there's a very low probability someone will send any spam on it, or not spam, rather, a fraudulent email on it.
Yeah.
It's very easy. It's a very safe way to do that. But most people they like using the convenience of having the one email. But it's actually a big risk at this point. And also having your name in the email, I think, is now a new thing. That's what my personal opinion is. Having your name in the email is actually also a bigger risk factor in some ways.
Because you offer, I mean, if you're a fraudster and somebody has, their full name on the email, it leads you in the direction of being able to deduce things about a person based on the other things that you share online. Perhaps you've unwittingly given away a password, for example. That's what you're saying, isn't it?
Not just a password. I mean, passwords they're more than passwords. I'll give you a simple story. I met someone at my son's birthday party, and that person told me that they were transacting with a company in Jordan, and someone in the middle found out about the transaction. And they sent an email which was just one letter different from their email, from the Dubai-based company email, and the Jordan-based company wired $100,000 to that fraudulent. Of course, the account was not fraudulent. The account was a personal account, but they changed it to a company name because there's no way for the bank. If you can wire it, there's no mechanism to to stop a wire from being sent. Obviously, it can be sent, and you can mention any name on it. Right now, in the UAE, you see the name being populated when you do the IBAN thing. That's one step happening.
Yep.
But they had sent it by the time, and then they are like struggling. Okay, and then immediately the Dubai-based CFO called the person and said, "Stop! Don't send the other 2 wires. They were about to send 2 more to that account." So these kind of things are happening. That they just changed the domain to 1 letter difference. The domain was so close, and it was well documented. And some obviously they knew there was a transaction going on, or they rather deduced, right? Okay, these companies must be transacting. Maybe a press release was sent out, or they must have been gathering. They might have an inside person, or they must, see the news that, okay, these are transactions going on between these 2 companies.
And who knows how long this fraudster, this fraudulent organization, whoever it was, hacker, whoever, had been watching and had spent time thinking, okay, well, if they do this, then they might do this, and if that's the case, then if you change this letter here and there. Point is, it's not that difficult to do.
No. And the word hacker is actually it's not the right word at all here, because there was systems were not broken into. No passwords were cracked.
Yeah.
It was just social engineering effectively.
Yeah.
And imagine you feel that the guy, you were not, again, going back to our last week's conversation about paying attention and being attentive. It all goes back to the attentive part again and again. It just comes back to it that person, thank God one of the parties was paying attention and immediately recalled the person, because the Jordan-based party sent an email to them, okay, we've sent you this thing. I said, what? Where did you send this? What do you mean? So
yeah. I mean, I've talked about this a lot in different interviews and thought about it quite a lot, but it simply is a numbers game, isn't it? The idea of, hitting the right person. If you send enough emails what was the great scam? The West African prince for years, was wanting to share financial riches with you. But if you send enough emails out, at some point you're going to get a hit, aren't you? If you send 1 million, you're going to get a couple of people.
And not as, company fraud is becoming more prevalent versus individual fraud as well.
Yeah, okay.
That's also happening. And the other one which is happening is on Facebook Messenger or some other messaging platforms where they are messaging as a friend. Hey, they're not asking for a big amount of money, so they get away with it. And that works.
Well, again, a numbers game, because, it's a small amount. What are you going to do to try and get that back? Why is company fraud much more of a thing than it was?
Well, going back to, first of all, securing your domain, that's one thing. That most companies don't properly set up their domains for spoofing emails, checking for spoofing emails, rejecting emails. And then that's the first layer, that if you set up your domain correctly, as an entity, which is free, by the way, it's not a lot of effort. You can pay a little bit. It's not that expensive. That stops a lot of the fake emails, fraudulent emails. But again, it will not stop a correctly set up email which looks like the other domain. That's the catch, right?
Well, you see, this is now my head's wandering here. Emails look good to me. If I get an email from info@x.com, it's easy to fall for.
Right.
Isn't it?
That's the thing. Then there's the posture of where you have training for your staff, and then there's a communication going on. That's happened in the U.S. as well, unfortunately. Title fraud, it's called. There was a transaction about to go down, and someone was buying a property, and at the same moment they received an email that, okay, your process has been complete, and because of the AI now, grammar looks fantastic. It's very easy to get that done. They sent their bank wire details, and they immediately wired the money. The poor clients or the customers thinking they're going to have finally their dream home or whatever. And it was a fraudster, and at that time I think they used Zelle or something. They wired the money, and the wire was forwarded somewhere else, and it was like, good luck tracking it. That's also happened. That's also happening in the U.S. because the U.S. is quite behind compared to the UAE. In these things, it's a matter of timing it right with them, and then they are just using the right language in the emails. It's very, very, very tricky, honestly speaking, unless you know what you're looking out for.
It's easier than ever to sound on the level, particularly, as you say, with AI, and I think that's a really good point. I mean, very often it used to be a scam would come through. I don't know, all kinds of things here in the UAE, and they're widely reported, but my first reaction was always, I have to do that. I need to get my Emirates ID because I don't want to have my bank account blocked or whatever it was. And then I'd read it again and think, hold on a minute. The grammar here is off. The spelling here is off. There's a capital letter where there shouldn't be. And all of a sudden you start to see the issues. But, at first glance, it looks legitimate. With AI and with advancements there, it's very easy to look very legit. And you can see why this is more important than ever. We need to be more and more, and as you say, attentive and vigilant.
Exactly. I mean, the easiest things we can do is first of all, separate your email. That's small things we can do which have big results. And then stop using your full name on CV. Stop putting your age on CVs. Stop putting your physical addresses on CVs. Some people put their passport numbers. What's the point? Because think about it, that it's a CV. If something is about to happen, that'll happen at a later stage with HR and other things. The documents will be exchanged at that point. You don't have to put in all of your details in the initial interaction.
But people will be thinking, well, I need to put those details on a CV because I live in a place where I want to stand out, and maybe they want their nationality to stand out, or they want their age to stand out because it denotes experience, or not. I mean, there are different reasons for doing that.
You can mention the age without mentioning the date of birth.
But you need to limit the information, is what you're saying.
Right.
So should I put my name with my middle name on a CV, or should I just be, Tim Elliott, as I would kind of?
Yeah, I mean, you could go with any option. First name, last name, initialize it. That's fine.
Okay.
And then phone number, of course. I would even say, if you go one step further, don't use the banking phone number also, because you get OTPs on it, right? Okay, OTPs are going to be stopped in the UAE, but they will not be stopped outside the country.
Well, this is interesting because we were talking about this yesterday, and my reaction was like, oh, that just won't work because we want one phone, don't we? And we all want to deal with one number. You want to keep everything in the same place because all of a sudden, life's hard enough without making it more difficult. But you would contend that if you have two phones, you just keep one at home where it can't be lost and it can't be flooded, or it's not any particular risk. That's where you get your OTPs and any seriously sensitive information potentially.
Yeah, just think about it. If you get a fraud SMS on the other number, you say it's 100% fraud because you know that the bank doesn't have this number. It's just so easy to just be calm about it and not worry about it.
So do you do that? Have you got a phone at home? Hidden
I use
in
my
the bottom drawer on the left-hand side in the shoebox.
Well, I use my Pakistani number for that. So because some
Okay.
numbers were being blocked here, because the UAE was blocking some numbers, I had to use a Pakistani number. But at this point, I don't have a system of getting OTPs. I moved it from the phone to the apps. So the apps are rotating the codes.
Right.
Don't need to worry about the phone that much.
Okay. So what are most of us doing wrong? What would be for you the main things that your everyday person, me, Faraj, who's actually on his phone right at the moment, what are we all doing wrong, do you think?
Reduce your data footprint from the public world. Stop using your full name, last name. Remove your last name. Even misspell it. Fine, it's fine. Who cares, right? Misspell it from your passport name. What's wrong with that? No one's gonna care. Stuff like that, and simple things. If you have certain amount of assets abroad, and then you are concerned about those assets, the phone can be just set. A separate phone can be set and forget for those assets. If your brokerage account is out in the US somewhere, or European accounts, whatever, that's one thing. Also, what else is there? I mean, stop sharing so much. I mean, about your life. People have a habit of oversharing sometimes. Children's photos is a big deal for some people. Okay, have family members and all of that. You can set up private groups for that. I like Telegram for this because there's unlimited storage in Telegram. Not like WhatsApp where it takes up device storage. You can have a private family group set up in Telegram. Just share within that. Don't need to use Facebook for it. So that's one way of looking at it. Or you can, if you're tech savvy, which is not that difficult to be honest, it takes half an hour training. You can set up your own private server also. But again, that's for privacy, family photos and such, because AI is training on those photos, and you can do deep fake calls based on your images, and then calls can be created by fraudsters pretending to be you, and literally it'll be a call coming from a number asking for money, and your parents or your brother or mother might be momentarily confused or fooled that okay, this is coming from this person and whatnot.
Okay, so look, data is the phrase I heard many years ago, and I remember thinking at the time, what on earth is that? But data is the new oil, was the phrase, and it's become increasingly clear that data is incredibly valuable. Companies make billions and millions of dollars off of data, collection of data, sharing of data, marketing to that data, etc. We all know that, but it's really important to keep in mind, isn't it, that your personal data is incredibly valuable, therefore it should be restricted to you. So stop oversharing.
Let me give you, if you want to be concerned about it, everyone says, oh, I don't have anything to hide. Let's say someone uses your name and does something weird and it's picked up by the authorities, could be any authorities, and they put you on some kind of watch list. Your name is on some kind of watch list.
Which is not beyond the realms of possibility,
Right,
is it?
and it's
Yeah,
happened
okay.
to an ex-colleague of mine. He used to get stopped at the airport every time, and then half an hour or 45 minutes of checks. Every time they would let him go. So
And was that because his name was similar to somebody's, or that was
they
because
will never say.
They wouldn't say.
They will
Okay.
never say. So
Okay.
it was probably not even his fault. And then there are chances where you just have bad luck, and then your name is a common name.
Mm.
Some names are super common names, and they have to go through their checks.
That's a regular story in
So
a
it could be
number of-
you could fit the profile. Okay, this person has this nationality, has this route. They're taking this travel route. They might be setting off some kind of preset security filter they might have. You never know. But that's like those are exceptions. Those are not the rule.
Okay.
Okay, top three things you can do: the name thing, the email thing, and the third is use a password manager. That's the easy one. If you use a password manager like Bitwarden, it's open source. A lot of companies use it, and you just have to remember the password manager's password. You can write it down in a notebook, and the TOTP or the rotating key, which is used to log into it, and that's the end of it. And then you can generate complex passwords, do autofilling on the phone. You don't have to worry about it. You say, okay, what if the password manager gets hacked? That's a low probability because it's using very high encryption. And you have to have, unless you use a very weak master password, which it won't allow you to do that anyway. That's the only time it can get hacked. So that kind of takes the headache away.
Well, let me ask you about that. When it comes to, I mean, clearly passwords, for most people, it's very often birthday, I don't know, first pet, whatever it might be for a lot of people. And the reason for that is we have 1,000,001 passwords and you have to remember them. You change your phone, you've got to relog into all these different apps. And it's, from that point of view, it's great to have the same password for all of them. Clearly, from a security point of view, that's for daft people. But when it comes to setting a password, are there any tips to setting a technically challenging password, but something you can remember?
Yeah, you can even use like songs. I mean, you can use a lyric if you want, and then you add some numbers to it.
Okay.
I mean, your favorite song. Who was going to know that, right?
And don't use sequences of numbers and
Sequences,
birth
numbers,
dates and all that kind of nonsense.
Yeah, unless
Okay.
it's. I mean, those are normally leaked out as well because let's say people use those forums, discussion forums, and they put in their birthday there. So the data protection policies of just think about wherever you're sending your data, what is their data protection policy? Because I have seen instances of some projects I worked in where I've seen the Emirates IDs of very important Emirati officials. They're lying around the desk openly. So this is the nature of some people's data management policies that their Emirates IDs are lying around. Also, one bizarre thing I've noticed that people hand over their Emirates IDs whenever they walk in a building, like the security takes it, like, why are they allowed to take it? That's not right. So all of the data is there on that, information is there, it can be copied, of course.
That's an interesting point. Where I live in a community, and if people come to visit, there is now a really strict policy in the last few months that if you visit, you have to show your Emirates ID, and the details are taken. And I mean, it's annoying because it means there's a backup of cars and all that kind of thing, but it is now policy. I mean, I don't know if it's a thing that we should be doing, handing over physical IDs or just a mobile number.
People even, let's say you go to a restaurant, people give their card and for payment, right? You shouldn't do that. There's a CVV mentioned on the back of the card. You shouldn't give your card in any case because the whole card number plus all of the three things become the
It's
card.
rare now, but it does happen.
I've seen
You're
it
right.
happen. Just as it happened this month with some people are still doing it.
Okay. So it's that kind of first line of vigilance, which is your first line of vigilance. So set passwords, maybe use password manager of some form. There are plenty available.
It's
That's
also
of-
good from an estate planning perspective. Let's say you can share the password manager with your partner and your kids or something, and they can log in. In case you don't want to share some accounts, you don't have to. It's an easier process with a group of people.
Guarantee my wife would forget, but I take your point. That's a reasonable thing to assume. I've got a checklist for you here, and I just wanted to. This really runs to kind of the limits of digital hygiene, the overall kind of banner of the conversation today, Zamal. I think there are 10 or 12 here. Let me just run through them very quickly with you. Just your thoughts, reasonably rapid fire, but I know there are things that you want to get across. First of all, online, keeping your software up to date.
That's a given if you have Windows, of course. A long time ago, Windows used to be pretty bad about this, but they've really come a long way, so don't have to worry about it too much. As long as the internet is connected and it's getting updates and you're applying the security updates, it's fine. Don't use outdated software unnecessarily, and keep the browsers are more important these days. The web browsers are more important these days. Firefox is my favorite. It's different. It's more security forward. And because Chrome is very popular and a lot of people, it's a more bigger attack vector.
It's more scrutinized, isn't it? Absolutely. Okay, so keeping software up to date, Office suites, that kind of things.
Office is not a big issue. Right now, you don't need to use your Office even. Like you can use Zoho Workspace or you can use Google Sheets. Application-based life has moved on at this point. It's become more web browser-based.
Okay. Any unused software that you're not using, get rid of it?
Try not to use cracked software. I mean, as students, people have done that to save money. You're a student, you have money, obviously, you want to get some things done. And there was an industry back in the day where it wasn't actually cracked. It was like, okay, you're a student, you need to use something. And as you get older, you realize, okay, I'm making money from this. I should pay for it because it's only fair because they did the work I'm making money from it. So it's fair.
Very reasonable. Okay. Antivirus up to date?
Antivirus, Windows has it embedded at this point. People assume that the Macs don't have viruses. That's not true. As if and when that happens, if a Mac becomes a big enough target, it has holes as well. Linux has holes as well. People think iOS is safe. There's a company which sells Pegasus software for iOS. They can take over and extract everything from your phone. The spy agencies have that, and you can buy by the way, anyone who can afford it. I think it's $40,000, $50,000 or something. I don't know the price. You can buy your way into using that software as well to extract data from your so-called safe phone, like Apple or Android, whatever.
Okay, so if you have a firewall, make sure it's managed in the correct way.
The good thing in the UAE is that Etisalat at least is doing managed routers, which have a very high security posture, that is helping a lot of people. So the firewall is managed by them, and it's up most of the time. And of course, if you're doing it yourself, you probably know what you're doing, so it's not that difficult. And that's a good thing happening for the common consumer with firewalls.
Okay, so be aware.
And Windows as well has a default firewall as well. It's pretty good.
Well, we covered passwords, so strong passwords, challenging passwords. Use a password manager if you have lots of different things. That way you can use one unique password and everything else is hopefully encrypted in the right way. Something else here, two-factor authentication, 2FA. What is 2FA?
Two-factor authentication means there's a second factor. I'm forgetting the sequence a little bit. It's something you have and something which is on you and something you remember, like kind of thing. Where the two-factor is the separate code running on your device. It is and the codes are rotated. It's called TOTP, time-based authentication protocol. People think that the banks running the codes are doing something very magical. Not really. It's the same protocol, which some people call it Google 2FA. Not really. It's the app. And the app can be anything. If you have the secret key, you can enter the secret key into any of the apps like 2FAS, and there are a bunch of them now. Bitwarden also has it inside them. You can run the codes. The benefit is that even if I give you a password, without the rotating code, you can never get into it. So that's a huge benefit. You can just sleep better at night.
Something that I think is kind of important. We've only got about a minute left, but we've covered most things. But there's something here that I think is key for many people. It's keeping a mailbox or keeping yourself tidy on your laptop. I see lots of laptops with a million icons and it's very disorganized. It's kind of the sign of somebody who's busy, fine, but it's also somebody who's maybe not making the best of the way they're using their machine. And I think there's a balance to be struck, isn't there? Is that something that you would emphasize?
It's hard to say. I mean, as long as if they're text files and Word files or whatever, that's not a big concern.
Okay.
But if they're downloading software, I mean, these days, like I said, the application world is moved on to the website of things and then web-based application. One last thing I do want to emphasize is paying attention to your kids' online habits. Definitely very important with Roblox. Effectively, the chats going on there. Who are they talking to? There's a lot of grooming going on online, and it's a very serious matter. Don't just be that parent where, oh, you're too busy. You gave them the iPad, whatever, you gave them the games. That's not how parenting works. Parenting is a very involved process. You cannot be hands-off about it at all.
That's very true. Muzamil Sheikh, Digital Hygiene. He's our tech guru. Thanks, Muzamil.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. This is Mira Business FM.
Mira Business FM.
This is Mira Business FM. It is time to talk gold. Our guest is limbering up, just, loosening the muscles, getting ready to run the 100 meters of gold this morning.
I wish.
Yeah, don't you just wish? We're on YouTube, we're on mirabusiness.fm, we're on Twitch, we're on Rumble, we're on Dailymotion, and you can contact us, whatsapp.mira.fm. Jeff Rhodes, the oracle that is Jeff Rhodes, is here.
Good morning, Tim.
Very nice to see you, Jeff. More and more, when I'm learning more and more about gold, you've not been here for a while, you've been in the UK for a week, but your predictions are remarkably accurate, I must tell you. It's quite amazing.
As I said off air, it's luck.
And I'm going to refute that. It's been one of those weeks again. We talked on Monday. You were in the UK. Was it just golf, or were you actually doing something?
Mainly
worky,
golf.
mainly golf. Okay.
No, certainly no
Good to
work.
know. Certainly not good. Okay, I just wanted to put that
Yeah,
out there. But what
clarify.
we've seen is gold correcting over the last couple of weeks, nearly 4,400 on, it was October the 21st, 4,381 was the peak. Hovering around the 4.2 this week, really. We got to, 4,233.52 yesterday afternoon. I checked. The high was a little bit above that, 4243 around about there.
4245
4245. Okay.
was the high, and a key chart point, interestingly, is at 4250.
Yes. Okay.
And when you look at the kind of fairly short-term chart, a break above 4250 would indeed target the all-time high of 4381. There's no doubt.
Yeah.
And the charts are bullish. The charts have turned bullish. There is an indicator, technical indicator, I do like to follow, and tends to be extremely accurate when there's going to be a breakout, either way, up or down. And on this occasion, it's called a MACD. As I said on the show before, it's not a burger. It's a moving average convergence and divergence indicator. It's a measure of momentum.
Right.
And it's a short-term moving average against a slightly longer-term moving average. They cross over. If the short-term goes above the long-term, it's a buy signal, and vice versa.
Okay.
And over I think it was Tuesday, we actually had that buy signal. And indeed, as we speak, gold is about 5% higher than we were on Monday morning. If you recollect, I did expect a higher price, and it still is not inconceivable that we won't see an all-time high today. It's possible. Really, there's a lot. The government's open again. There's a lot of conjecture about what the numbers are going to show, the economic data that's been delayed more than 40 days. And there's everyone's got their own ideas. But at the moment, the short-term momentum is up.
Well, this is the thing. It's 5% or so over the course of this week. You noted earlier this week, you didn't. This wasn't a prediction. You wouldn't have been surprised if it, got up towards the high there, as you've said there. So 42, 45, really not bad. And all of this after the US government reopened. 43 days shut down. Closed.
It's amazing,
no
isn't it?
No business, no economic data, no nothing. It's crazy.
No air traffic control.
Yeah.
It's amazing, no travel.
It's mind-blowing how small a story it became.
You do realise why they found a solution. It's because we're coming up to Thanksgiving Day. And Thanksgiving Day, that period in the US, is a period of the most travel that they'll see all year, because everyone going home, you get this huge amount of internal traffic, air traffic within the United States, and it was inconceivable that we could have a Thanksgiving Day with government closed. So it's open. Problem is, we haven't seen any data for 43 days. What is that data going to say?
I noticed that on your report this morning. I read your reports. The last line was no economic data at all.
Yeah.
It was zero, nothing.
Zero.
What's it going to be like when the data starts to come back? What do you think?
Well, we had some private data last week, which was pretty negative. 150,000 reduction in employment. It was the Challenger report. I think it was the worst for 2 decades. And so if that is anywhere like an indicator, as we start to get the inflation data and the jobs data being published in the US, there is a concern that they will be poor. And if they are poor, it's a shoo-in for interest rates being cut in December. Now, before yesterday, there's a measure that's being taken in the market, and there's a percentage of what people think about rate cuts. Is it going to be a rate cut? Is there not? So on Tuesday, that was 70% certain there would be a rate cut of 25 basis points in December.
Yes.
As of yesterday, that fell to 50%.
Right.
Because a number of Fed officials have said, we can't really make a decision on interest rates because we haven't got the data. And others are saying, well, if the data does come through, it's going to be poor. So there really is. It's like a game of two halves, to be honest with you.
It's a proper catch-22.
It really is. So I think it's best to, whatever you're doing, just stay pat until the numbers work into the system and we have a better idea of where the US economy comes. I would have thought that measure of 50%. Will there be a 25 basis points cut or not?
Right.
I think there will be.
Okay.
I do think there will be. And if there's some bad numbers, it wouldn't be the biggest shock to see a 50 basis points cut. A shock to the system to make sure they head off, if you like, really really bad news on jobs. And I think there could be some bad news. And if that's the case, gold goes up and we see a fresh all-time high.
That's another. I'm just making mental notes here and typing to myself. Jeff says maybe 50 basis points cut in December. Let me just ask you about something from one of your reports this week. You quoted Ilya Spivak, who's the head of global macro at Tasty Live. I just want to put the quote to you, see what you think now. A couple of days later, the idea that the US shutdown is ending was really more met, says Ilya, as lifting a level of uncertainty that gave markets permission to re-engage with what has been one of the main speculative narratives this year. Fair point.
Yeah.
The bias for the rest of the year is at this point favouring the upside still. At this point, the path of least resistance for gold is back to October's high. Then we might be heading higher thereafter. And I'm reading that thinking, that's not Ilya Spivak, that's Jeff Rhodes talking, It seemed, it backs up everything you've been saying.
Yeah, look, as you know, Tim, I do have some assistance in the actual production of these reports.
Yes.
But the verbiage is all me.
Yeah.
I've got really a good team behind me who are putting the numbers together every morning. And I simply have to swan in and see what I think.
Right.
And it does. It seems to me we had 2 or 3 weeks of probing the downside, and every time we had a look at 3,900, which was
we're still talking gold here, right? Yeah, we are. Chris, I'm with you.
Yes, Tim, we're still talking gold.
I am with you.
And anyway, 3,900. It held on about 3 occasions, and that really has instated that number. 3,900 is a very good point of technical support. And this week, and so on Monday, if you recollect, gold should have gone down. We said that.
That's what you were saying, yeah.
It is, the government is going back to work. Now gold should go down. It didn't do that. It did the other thing. And that for me was extremely bullish.
Yeah.
And it turned out to be. Whether we get to an all-time, it looks unlikely today, but I would have thought ahead of Thanksgiving, we would have had 4,400 plus. I would have said.
Okay.
I do say, in fact.
Okay, well, that's exactly what you're doing, indeed. Yeah. Okay. So I've got to keep track of all these things now. It's getting difficult. I'm ticking too many boxes. Another thing, Monday afternoon, you text me, and, Monday, surprising day, I think it's fair to say. You texted to say, US economic reports will now come along like number 8 buses, which is a great old London saying. It's like policemen. They're getting younger. The buses come along when you don't need them.
Yeah. Correct.
Most US economic reports could be less than favourable, which will mean lower interest rates. And as you said there, 50 basis point rate cut would be appropriate.
Sorry, can I interrupt you there?
Go on.
No, I think it's going to be 25. But it
you could
wouldn't
see
surprise me if we have some really bad numbers that we saw a shot in the arm with a 50 basis points cut.
Yeah, inflation falling, employment rate drifting, maybe a little bit higher as well.
Yeah. Look, I listen. If we have a very poor jobs number, for example, that is a red flag for the Fed. They watch employment very closely, and if there's really, really poor numbers, they will act. And because, of course, they do have Donald Trump watching over them, and President Trump really wants interest rates of 2%. He's on record for a long time now saying that's the right number. Yeah. And I don't dispute that, because if you have inflation of 3% and interest rates of 2%, that's kind of very much in line. And that would be your classic, economic, going back to my economics days, that would be classically what you want. You want a bit of inflation, just a bit more than the level of interest rates. So it all stays very much in line. And of course, 2% interest rates has a massive impact on the federal deficit.
Yes.
because a big part of what they have to pay is interest. So it all makes sense. I think the argument for lower interest rates is very much in place, as I say, for the next 2 years.
One of the other things is and I've been thinking about this, and I'm interested in what you think about this. And we're back to the economic data here again. There's been nothing at all. And your report today, zero coming out. We're going to see government numbers emerging now that government workers are back. Things are getting back to normal. The wheels are starting to turn. Your thoughts on that a few days on, in terms of numbers that anything that we haven't talked about, I suppose?
I think that I read an interesting piece that suggested they will prioritise the important data. So when they go back to work, in a week, probably you've got 3 or 4 important numbers. The rest of them are interesting, but not really kind of market changing. There's 3 or 4 of those, and yeah, obviously the CPI, Consumer Price Index, consumer inflation, producer inflation, the PPI, but also non-farm payrolls, the level of employment in the US, and also the level of unemployment.
Yeah.
So if we had a combination of benign inflation, because of course high inflation means it's kind of bullish for gold, but it really is. If we have benign inflation, there is no upside pressure on interest rates, more downside pressure. And if we have poor numbers coming on the non-farm payrolls, then the Fed will be forced to act. And as I say, I can see a combination of those 2 numbers being poor and needing that shot in the arm. It would be very unusual. 50 basis points for this federal chairman, for Jerome Powell, would be it would be very unusual.
Yeah.
But
it would be drastic, wouldn't it?
Well, it would. I think it would be a shot in the arm. Can you imagine? Equity markets would fly.
Yeah,
they would fly.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. And gold goes with it, because one of the things about rising equity markets, your hedge against that turning around is gold. So that if it turns around, if you're buying a bit of gold when you buy your equities, you've got a natural hedge in case equities turn around. So if you do that, it used to be 90-10, but when you see the big banks now, they're talking 20% should be in gold. Tim, I've never heard that ever in my 50 years in the business, that the high street banks of JP Morgans and so on, the Citibanks, the NatWest, the big banks, for them to come along and say, actually put 20% of your assets into gold, it's never been heard of. So, and the amount of assets that are in gold compared to the rest of the economics is tiny. Yeah. It's really tiny, and so we've got room for a massive change in the gold price, massive. Whether we get it or not, I'm not sure. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen. As I say, I keep saying it, we've got 2 years of fun in the sun under Donald.
Okay. Donald Trump is good for gold. You've said that many times. No, I'm completely with you. We're back to, what was the phrase in COVID? These are extraordinary times. But for gold, these are extraordinary times.
These extraordinary is ordinary for gold.
Yeah, quite right. It's becoming that for sure. You sent me a couple of things this week. Actually, I'm like, oh, there's Jeff, because the phone dings. What was it that I wanted to ask you about? World Gold Council report, U.S. gold demand trends. This is Q3 2025. A couple of the highlights just quickly. U.S. gold demand rose 58% year on year.
Yep.
Q3. Robust investment inflows into gold-backed ETFs, particularly in September. We've talked about some detail about that, offset weakness in other demand segments. North American ETF inflows, though, it's the figure that got me, $16 billion.
Yeah, absolutely.
Every time I look at these things, this is 62% of global inflows.
Yeah.
It's hard to get your head around what's going on.
But it has been playing catch up, because
Sure.
really in 2024, ETF demand was flat. And in the first 6 months of this year, a little bit, it was up a bit, but it was from like July onwards, and particularly September onwards.
right.
There have been massive inflows. And so what you have a perfect storm of demand, because we've had central banks over the last 4 or 5 years buying. We have this year retail buying, and this year we have the funds, the ETFs buying.
Yeah.
So all of the segments, official, private, and also retail, because I'm a big fan of retail, because retail is sticky. You know, when the man in the street is saving gold, and certainly here, there are some fantastic opportunities to save gold here. You know, one particular bank that I was associated with, I'm not sure I can say the name, but has really built an excellent retail base of gold because of a focus on retail.
Okay.
And the great thing about retail, you spread your risk. And it's therefore very sticky. So, but when you've got central banks and when you've got funds and when you've got retail all buying, actually, over the longer term, gold can actually only go one way. Because we've spoken before about production, gold production. So this year, gold is up 60%.
Yes.
Okay?
Yep.
It is impossible for gold supply to actually be any more than, say, 5 or maximum 10% higher. It just is. It's really not flexible. There's no reaction from the producer side that can fill in that space. And so, if you've got demand that's coming in and coming in and coming in, it's gold goes up. Depends by how much and when. They're the questions. Gold is going up over the next 2 years.
Well, yeah, and I wanted to ask you about forecasts a little bit, because Bloomberg consensus forecasts currently point to prices rising through the first half of next year, so 2026, before easing towards the end of the year. So analysts are kind of digesting the move. New estimates are starting to trickle in. Revisions in October show an average. I quoted you loads of the different kind of estimates last week, but the average Q4 25 forecast, $4,000 an ounce. Full year 2026 targets have edged higher, and they range between, and exactly what you've said, the oracle that Jeff Rhodes is back, $4,500 to $5,000 an ounce.
Yeah.
Not unrealistic.
Look, I think it's a given.
Yeah.
To be honest with you,
Yeah.
I think now, once we're above 4,500, if we go above 4,500, it's not that far. It's really not that far to 5,000.
Yeah.
What is it, 10%?
Yeah.
Another 10%. We're up 60%, so it's not that much. And once you're at 5,000, then kind of pick a number.
You know that bit's getting clipped, don't you? Yeah. But no, but I see your point, because it's this thing of no, it's not going to happen, but it's within the realms of possibility. And if you, it's that old saying, if you can see it, you can believe it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. No, absolutely, because for most people in the world, including me, to talk about $4,000 gold price in 2025 was off the scale. I couldn't see it.
Yeah.
As you know, I've said so many times, and I said at the start of the year, for me, 37.50 was my target.
Yes.
And once I got to 37.50, I became a bit uncomfortable, because I was like, so what now? and fortunately, it was taken out of my hands, because within a blink of an eye, it was already 4,000, then 4,400. You know, the rate at which gold rallied over the latter part of the summer is something that I will long remember, I have to say. And so when anyone says, is this possible in gold? Yeah, anything's possible. But Tim, we haven't spoken about silver, my favourite.
Well, do you know what? It's interesting this, because I've got a number of questions to ask you. And my next question is this. I'm going to read you. I actually wrote this. Yeah, okay. I don't often spend as much time as this. But in terms of precious metals, it's been, and I'm using a quote that you used, a 4 out of 4 week.
Yeah.
Gold, obviously heading northwards. Silver got to 54.49.
It did.
This week on the 17th of October, 53.60. It's you've been predicting $60 since what, a
2
year
years.
or so, a couple of years. Okay, going. I mean, gangbusters.
Yeah, I thought that fall back to 45, 46 was excellent. Actually, it gave people who had missed the boat the chance to get back in.
Right.
But they had to be quick. And this week, since we spoke on Monday, and I did say, look, till we could see $60 this week.
You did.
Or a fresh all-time high. 2 days ago, we were within 10 cents of the all-time high.
Yeah.
So the all-time high, 17th of October, 54.49. This week, we've seen 54.39. So silver is nothing, it's a tease, so it's teasing me. So hopefully we will see a break higher today, and that sets us up for a rally towards $60 before Thanksgiving Day. I'll put a date on it. So Thanksgiving Day is the last Thursday in the month, isn't it?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, so before the last Thursday of November, we could well see $60.
Okay, that's another prediction. I can't keep up with your predictions. They're coming too thick and fast now. Last two, let's stay on other precious metals. Obviously, platinum, palladium. Your palladium target, $1,500 this week.
Yeah.
We got to
1504.
1504. 1504. So my natural question to you is, 1600 is next.
Yeah, it is.
Is it really?
It is. It is. I think the outlook for the industrial precious metals, for silver, platinum and palladium, is actually even better than gold, because gold is all about, if you like, financial safe haven, whereas the industrial precious metals are a mix of investment demand, jewelry demand, particularly silver and platinum, industrial demand and really speculative, because if gold is going up, silver's going up.
Sure.
Not necessarily the same with PGMs, but certainly when you look at the demand-supply structure of the platinum market, there is more platinum consumed than produced every year. This is why we have platinum in a backwardation. So the platinum lease rate, it's 30%. So you can't run a short and pay 30% per annum per day, every day. You can't. And so I'm very friendly on those. The good thing about platinum this year has been a big increase in investment and jewelry demand from China. Okay. Another thing that I didn't mention, or I may have mentioned this, going back to silver, the US has placed silver on its list of critical metals that they need to hold. So this is the government telling the world.
You haven't mentioned that, no?
I haven't mentioned that.
I don't remember that. No,
I don't. And I was just reviewing what happened, and I saw this, and it's a major step. This is wonder what. So apart from jewelry demand, industrial demand, you've got this demand from government. This is a critical metal. They need to stockpile. And we saw a few weeks ago a story that China has been stockpiling silver for a long time. And so this gives you the answer why suddenly silver went from being in abundance in London vaults to being, where's the silver gone? And Tim, honestly, I'd never, ever could see silver is what we call fork and tango. The difference between the spot price and the forward price is typically the same as, say, the dollar rate of interest, say 5%. Buy spot, sell forward, you make 5%, but then you have to fund it, so it comes to zero.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
Now, so silver was always like that until the last 2 months. And in the last 2 months, it's disappeared. and it actually didn't disappear. What happened? A lot of the silver that was sitting in London was realised it was pledged, and it's pledged against what? ETFs.
Okay.
So it all kind of comes together, but it does make it's a powerful, outlook for silver. And like $60 is the beginning; it's not the end.
You're saying a lot of stuff today, Jeff. I've forgotten most of it now. There's so much of it, but
Fortunately, it's recorded, so
it is. Well,
unfortunately for me, it's recorded.
just as well. But the thing again, I'm going to go back to the COVID thing. It is extraordinary times, no doubt about it.
Yeah, it is,
and they're going to continue. I think
it is. Yeah, and it's good for me.
Yeah.
There's a need for my services.
Yeah, well, there's a need for your services here, whatever happens. Let me tell you. Jeff Rhodes, the oracle that is Jeff Rhodes, the CEO of Goldstrom Advisory. That's all the time we've got, unfortunately. But great to see you. See you on Monday.
Yeah, see you Monday.
Jeff Rhodes here on Mira Business FM.
Mira Business FM.
It's the Morning Drive with me, Tim Elliott. We're on the website, mirabusiness.fm. We're on YouTube, we're on Twitch, we're on Rumble, we're on Dailymotion, we're on Facebook, we're on LinkedIn, we're on Instagram, we're on X for News. Get in touch. info@mira.fm is our email address. And you can also WhatsApp directly to the studio. Keep it nice and clean. WhatsApp.mira.fm. 522-789-567. And wherever you find us, if you can subscribe, give us a like, a thumbs up. That is always really appreciated. Now, real estate in the last hour. For the next half an hour or so, we're going to be talking food, the business of food, I guess, and the business of food delivery, really. Halima Jumani is the CEO, founding family member of Kibson's online home delivery, well known here for sustainable grocery shopping. They're a UAE-based fresh food distributor, have been for over a decade. And Halima oversees finance operations and a 1,000-strong team managing 5,000 daily orders. And she is joining us over the technology of Zoom. Halima, good to talk to you. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you very much for having me. Can you hear me?
I can hear you great. I can see you fine. Looking resplendent, I have to say. I want to start, Halima, with we've never met before, but I'd like to start with your story, your background. You were born and raised here in Dubai, in the Emirates. I know that much, but you kind of come from a corporate finance background, don't you, really?
I do. I was with KPMG for, I think, over 5 years. So finance has been my background. And subsequently, after my MBA, I moved with GE in operational excellence as a Six Sigma black belt in the Middle East and North Africa region, which is where I learned to combine finance and ops. And what a great combination it was.
Well, it's worked very well for you, I gather. You got married in, dare I say it, 1999, 26, nearly 27 happy years. So you became a part of the Kibson's family. Your husband was obviously part of that business, providing fresh food since I think the early 80s, 1980? Am I right in saying that? At that time, you were part of KPMG. So essentially, you were kind of almost freelancing in the business, really, weren't you? Lending a helping hand, but you weren't really officially part of anything.
That's what you do for a family, isn't it? I mean, if you've got the skills and your family does not have, money in the early years to hire those skills, what do? You go and you help. You set up the foundation, the business infrastructure, so that there are those deep roots, allowing you to grow.
Do you know what's interesting about me? I was reading some research. Interesting about me? No, interesting about you. I was reading some research, and you took a major step in 2005. You weren't long married. You up sticks. You moved to the UK. and you spend 2 years there pursuing an MBA. The reason I bring this in is because I'm kind of pursuing this picture of somebody. I think the nicest way to put it is you're driven, aren't you? There is an aim to what you're doing. Am I right?
Yes, and the way I would look at that is I'm very empathy driven, even for myself, because you can't lie about your skills to yourself, right? So, coming from a finance background, particularly audit, where we are trained to look at things in details, absolute details, it so happened that when I would speak to Jamal, and he's very strategic, macroeconomic, and so on, I would understand what he would say, but I would be like, damn, why can't I create that or generate that internally on my own? And I think what I eventually realized is that I needed some sort of shift in the way my mind thinks, generates the processes, the information, and the analysis that I was good at. And MBAs around the world in those days were for 1 year. I don't think 1 year is sufficient time. It's more like a 10-month crash course. It doesn't really completely change you. So what I really was looking for is not an MBA to do networking or not an MBA to get a jump in a job. My focus was to drive growth, personal growth. And honestly, 2 years changed the way I thought. I can't really pinpoint anything, but the savviness. And when I returned from the MBA from this journey, honestly speaking, the way I looked at information, processed information was different. And may I also add that it was only then that Gibson's moved into a daring, disruptive opening of the e-commerce home delivery in 2016.
Okay, well, let's go to Gibson's. You launched nearly a decade ago. In the early days, your husband, Jamal, who you've mentioned, focused really on the commercial side. You took the reins on finance and operations. The MBA has helped you for, I guess, that strategic picture, that maybe slightly broader picture. We're both doing that broad and hand signal thing at the moment. But I guess the fortunate thing here is you found that in business, not just your marriage or personal relationship, but you complemented each other. And it's fortunate, isn't it, that your working relations worked out so well. The yin and the yang, I guess, is another way of putting it.
Yes, it is. Not many people know, but Jamal and I were actually arranged to marry. So perhaps our parents had some foresight and, destiny has its own plans. But it was beautiful that we were fiercely independent, even as human beings, even at home. And we were together as, two fulfilled, complete individuals. And we were not stepping into each other's way at home or in business. So, we had a working relationship. Even as parents, we were aligned. This was challenged later in the e-commerce years, but we'll come to that later. But yeah, Jamal has been instrumental in my journey with the support that he has provided. A female cannot come this far in a business environment that is so male dominated without having a male sponsor behind her, a strong one.
Right. Okay. Well, even these days, do you think is it still, what's the word, patriarchal?
It is.
Yeah.
But it's changing. There's a balance in life that is healthy for everyone involved.
Okay, so Gibson's, the thinking behind it was healthy eating into people's homes, healthy eating becoming more accessible and more affordable. When you launched, how did you get that across to people? The fact that was so important, because it seems to me like now that's the way we all are. That's a generational way of thinking, but it maybe wasn't 10 years ago.
It was, but within a niche. I will explain. So Jamal and I have 3 kids that represent Australia at a national level for squash. So nutrition, recovery, good eating, resting. Well, these were a common vocabulary at home. But the thing was, we were privileged to be able to have that good quality food at affordable prices, right? Now, our circle of family and friends was similar, where we had heavy eating teenagers. And when we created the Excel spreadsheet in early years to spread it out to family and friends, oh my God, it was so well received because of the quality, the freshness, the prices. People were absolutely wowed. And I didn't have to do any marketing. It grew with the word of mouth alone. For the first 3 years, until the point that we had 2,000 deliveries a day, we had not done any marketing at all.
Zero.
Zero. I mean, then I kind of, was told by our good friends in the industry that imagine what you could do with marketing. So then we kind of, played around. We did for learning experience, what works, what doesn't work. So we did a little bit of everything, like cinema advertisement. We did a couple of billboards. We did PR. It was a wonderful journey learning through that.
So, I mean, you knew you had a business that was working. If you do almost nothing in terms of the traditional forms of letting people know, and you get 2,000 orders a day. However, then we get to 2020, I suppose, and COVID hits. What happened then?
A lot of people think that, oh, you must have done so well in COVID. We nearly died in COVID, because our capacity was pushed from, 4 people in customer care responding to, 100,000 citizens in the UAE who were all looking forward to a scheduled delivery of Kipsons. Our schedules went up to 7 days. It was a push. Our capacity had to respond and grow within, I think it was 6 weeks. We hired about 400 people in 4 weeks. So it was tough. It was tough, and I'm so, I think, honored and grateful for that positioning that destiny put us in, because at Gibson this was not about money. This was about serving the community in which Jamal and I were born and raised. This was our time of giving back. I remember putting our pickers and drivers and saying, if you guys ever wanted to become someone, important like doctors or engineers, and you couldn't do because of lack of money, and that's why you're here, this is our time. We are second in line to healthcare, and it is our duty to serve the people in this beautiful community that we belong to.
It's a nice thing to hear, but I mean, money is obviously an important thing. COVID meant that inbound logistics were expensive, so prices went up, of course. So you're working 24/7, but at the same time as that, you have to take that hit, don't you? Is that what happened?
It is, and I was very fortunate to have Jamal's backing on that. He made it a point and gave me a clear mandate. Halima, do not raise any prices. Take the hit, take the knock. It doesn't matter. We are a very value driven family business, and perhaps that's why we do what we feel right. And often we make very strong non monetary decisions. This was one of them. Jamal said to me, people are already panicking with the foresight of whether there will be enough food or not. If you raise prices, this will increase the panic, and they will think, oh, things are now going to run out, or, whatever. So what we try to do is keep people calm through our customer care communication and say, don't worry about the food. I remember telling some of my friends, if anything happens, you're welcome. We can all sit inside the Gibson's warehouse and feed ourselves. Don't worry about anything. The prices are going to remain the same. And we will deliver. Don't worry about it. And we lived that. We lived up to the promise, and we took that knock, and that's okay. Good businesses are never about money alone.
Okay. Let me ask you about your team, because it strikes me that, I mean, getting 400 people on board in 4 weeks is an impressive achievement in and of itself. But you have to build a team, and you need to build a team to work in a business that you run the way you run it with, I think your word was empathy at the start of this interview. And that's a team that has to be with you, that has to believe in what you're doing, particularly at a time like COVID-19, of course. Talk me through how you've built your team, how you did it then, and how you increase your staff that stay with you now.
If you speak to people within the team, particularly blue collars, what we are famous for is training people. People come to us and say, please train us. We want to grow at Gibson's. That's really how we are perceived within our working community. So I'll just go back a little bit. When we pivoted from distribution business to supermarkets into e-commerce, one thing that happened was that a bunch of merchandisers who were Bengalis and Nepalis could not really find, especially Bangladeshis, another job. Why? Because there were visa issues with UAE and Bangladesh at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And these were people who worked in those supermarket branches, restocking the shelves, but working on the payroll of suppliers like us. So when we broke away from those contracts, I had this force of 45 to 50 people that were unemployed. And my intention was to, of course, help the community with good quality produce, affordable prices, so they can feed their family, and healthy eating becomes practical convenient but also affordable, because it's a good notion, but if it's not affordable, it's not going to really blend into your day-to-day lifestyle. So my goal was to kind of hit these two agendas: healthy eating, but also giving my employees a job. And two of them, the original from the original team, today look after my entire operations of the day and of the night. So, in what I'm trying to tell you is the story was of my founding team that grew and became grateful over the years, and that's a currency that keeps our team energy just strong, just authentic, and yeah, we're very grateful from where we've come so far.
Mm. I wanted to ask you about your leadership style, because I've read that you say, I need to like me, others don't need to like me. So that's one kind of part of a personality. However, I've also read that you've built the business through listening, acting, and caring deeply for people, as you've kind of outlined there, for food and for community. So I'm wondering how you would describe yourself. Are you a disciplinarian, or are you kind of a mother figure, a multiplicator, as some people term it? Which are you? Or are you both?
Yeah, I think a bit of both. So thankfully, my kids are now all grown up, but in those years they were teenagers, and I was a mom throughout. So I don't know where I crossed the line, being a mom at home and a mom at office. And it's exactly all of those skills. You try and educate people, you try and train them, you try and make them understand what are you doing, why are you doing, and so on. And then if nothing works, you put up your mom card and say, no, sorry, this has to be my way because I can't over explain beyond a point. And I think it's also interesting that as a CEO now, my level of experience and understanding is clearly different to others, right? So my whole momentum is to bridge the gap, to get people to understand what the company is doing, what's the strategy, vision, why we are here. But at the end of the day, someone's got to make that tough and bold decision. So I've got to play both cards. But my focus is about mentoring, training, educating, because if you do not get that participative buy-in
Mm.
of your team, it's never going to work. They're never going to, they're never going to come with that wholehearted, that, yeah, I'm with you, I got this. And it takes time. It's painful. It takes time. Sometimes you win, sometimes they don't understand. But you know what? In the long run, actions always speak louder than words. And I think what I've come to realize with my journey is that your actions, your success, your results earn you respect over time. And this is not something you do once. This is something you do again and again and again, because you're going to get tested over and over. And people are going to sit there and watch. Now what's she going to do this time? Now what are you going to do this time?
Don't you just love those people? It's interesting that, and it really is. It kind of strikes me that in lots of ways, and this is really oversimplifying being a CEO, but it is kind of like motherhood in a way. You have to nurture, you have to train, you have to encourage, you have to educate, but you also have to be cognizant of the fact that there is a point at which the foot goes down and you don't push any harder. You are my
Yes.
daughter, you are my son, you are my employee. There's an overlap there in a way, isn't there?
Yes, there is. And people who disagree with me in the moment, I promise you, after a period of time, they've always come back and said to me, I have had so many messages that, ma'am, you were right. We see it now.
Mm.
That's like, I mean, I've been here 25 years over and over again. Um, but I think what I'm saying is that as an entrepreneur, as a leader, you've got to believe. You've got to believe in yourself, your core value proposition. What are you as a person? What skills you bring to the table? What you can offer? What you can convert? Because people don't care about your skills as much as they understand and care about what results you put on the table. So, and that's not a 1 year scenario. It's again and again and again. You've got to say it this way, prove yourself over and over again. And it's understanding the core value proposition of the business, the industry in which you're in. So there are layers and circles of empathy if you can draw them like an onion. If you do not understand all of them and how they all fit together, you cannot come up with a strategy. So that strategy, with conviction and confidence, comes with, I would say, also scalable value propositions.
Okay. Let me ask you about something that happened late last year. You announced you were going to shift away from your cardboard delivery boxes, which were highly recognizable. Halima. So now you've got this more sustainable solution. You've got the reusable Gibson's box. How has that affected or influenced the way people see your business? Has it made a difference?
Oh, this is such a good topic. It was a incredibly bold move. I was a little bit scared, I have to be honest, because the boxes had become the brand, and it is so difficult to build a brand, and that, these boxes were what we were known for. So how do you pull away from them in the name of sustainability, in the name of a move that people did not even ask me for? So I'll explain this. Everybody thought that just because we are recycling the boxes, we are doing a tick on sustainability, right? It's a good thing. You're recycling. So the conscience is satisfied.
Yeah.
However, I knew in my heart that we are recycling fine, but we are first cutting down those trees to begin with. So I'm thinking, everybody out there, so many corporates are now thinking about the carbon footprint and how many trees they can plant. So say we do a carbon offset and plant trees, we are still looking at 15 years for those trees to grow, which is a very long time. How about we stop cutting them to begin with? This was my personal math looking at the scope 1, scope 2, scope 3 calculations as I was taking Gibson's on the ESG journey. And I said to myself, this doesn't make any sense. We need to have a truly reusable option, which is beneficial for the planet. And it saved us 2,500 trees every month that we would have otherwise cut down to make those boxes. So it was such a difficult and bold move. Do I do authentic ESG, or do I stick to the marketing and the branding that we had come to achieve over the years? And I remember discussing this with my PR, and she said, "No, Halima, you've always made bold moves. Go ahead. This is one of them." So initially, there was a bit of a lashback, and people were not happy. They missed the boxes, which was expected. But obviously, everything in life has to evolve with education. So we did our best. We tried our best. We responded to the consumers. And I am hoping that they have accepted and forgiven us, because this planet is definitely worth saving. And not only that, but I don't think ESG is a fancy topic anymore. It's a non-negotiable card. I mean, we really need to do something about the situation because it is out of hands. More importantly, that was like phase 1, step 1. So what we're now doing, next month we'll be launching our compostable bags, because you see, we moved away from the boxes, but we still had paper bags. So if we remove these paper bags and have compostable bags, we will be saving a further 800 trees every month. And this story has now been printed on each of the bags so that people get to read them. And if they have any questions, they can come back to us.
Well, you see, the thing is, people do read the boxes, don't they? Because this is such a recognisable part of your brand. It's the overriding thing. I immediately think of the blue box. It's what I think of when I see kids. I don't necessarily think of food delivery even. I've seen the boxes a million times. Highly, highly effective branding.
Yes, and people used to think, do you move homes? Are you a relocation company? I was like, no, those boxes have food in them. And, we do supply. We still get requests, please can I have 50 boxes I'm moving, or please can we have 50 boxes for so-and-so? And we actually produce some to satisfy that need from our customers every now and then.
Do you know, I live in a community, and there's a community WhatsApp group, and every, I don't know, once a month probably, people ask for Gibson boxes because they need cardboard boxes.
Yes, but I'd like to believe that the brand goes a little bit deeper than the box into the freshness and the quality that people have come to expect from Gibson.
I would think that's probably the byproduct as well, to be fair. How important is price point? Because there's something I read online. Let me just bring this up very quickly. Blueberries, I have to put this to you as well. Blueberries seem to be a real thing for you. You've said they're your popcorn, which I thought was quite a nice phrase, but I've read this a few times. A packet of blueberries in a supermarket was 23 dirhams, and I remember this quite clearly. You guys brought it down to 9 dirhams. So 2 questions, really. Why was the price so high? And second, how can you bring it down to 9 dirhams from 20 odd?
It's the business models that are different, right? Supermarkets have a very different business model. They have on-ground exposure. They have to stock up and display so many spaces physically, and that in turn affects the wastages. So given the fact that wastages are high, they have to compensate for that with these higher margins. In the wholesale situation, we have a consolidated point of dispatch. So we don't have to worry about multiple displays, and we don't have to worry about wastages. Why? Because our shelf life is stronger because of the cold chain that we have. So I'll give you an example. As soon as we receive our imports, they are received into purpose-built e-commerce facility, which is cold chain intact, right? So we've got these balloon shelters, we've got dock levelers. We come in, we make sure that the temperature does not fluctuate. And then from that environment, they go straight into our delivery vans to your door. So if you think about the entire journey, it's a very different journey, number one. So you kind of get the wholesale shelf life of the product. You also get the wholesale prices. Now, if we flip that around and think about a supermarket business model, what actually happens is that we would say deliver to them in our trucks from the market, but then it would go into their centralized stores. Now, this offloading, onloading, if done in a not so perfect temperature condition, will definitely affect the longevity of that product. You can't see it, right? You can't immediately see what's happening, but the cold chain has been broken. Now it will move from that facility into a decentralized store. From there, it will go into the display. I don't know how many times you walk into the supermarket and notice that the temperature is comfortable for humans, but not berries. Therefore, they're not in an ideal temperature. You would put that in your shopping trolley, put it in your car. Again, your car is not temperature controlled. So by the time these berries and fruits make it to the fridge, they've been compromised on their shelf life.
Sure.
And I met someone yesterday who said, look, I buy the berries, but they die in 2 days. We get customer complaints saying, hey, I bought this lettuce on last Sunday and it's Saturday now, and it still hasn't expired. So what exactly have you sprayed on it? And then we have to educate them. We haven't sprayed anything. It's just that you are getting the wholesale quality and the wholesale price.
You should maybe talk to a former UK Prime Minister about the lettuce thing. I'm thinking that. So probably a very different story. Just one more question for you. Actually, there's a text in here as well, by the way. Just let me read you this quickly. Thanks for everything you do, Halima, says Anita. I love Gibson's. It's a legendary brand. Keeps my family going, says Sharon. Gibson's blueberry smoothie, and you get a nice thumb and forefinger ring emoji.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, because it is because of you that I am here on the show. Otherwise, I wouldn't be.
That's a nice thing to hear. Final question for you. We've got to go to the news in a second, but when's the IPO? Is it imminent?
I have a lot of work to do before that. Governance, plan, and definitely how we're going to use that money. I think that's the most important part.
Right.
So it's a process and a journey, and it's about time.
Halima Jamani is the CEO, founding family member of Gibson's, the online home delivery, joining us here at Mira Business FM. Halima, great to talk to you. I really appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you so very much for having me.
It's great to have you on. This is Mira Business FM. It's the Morning Drive.
Mira Business FM. Mira Business FM.
It's the morning drive here at Mira Business FM with me, Tim Elliott. Don't forget you can join us in a number of different ways. Make sure you follow us and subscribe. We always appreciate that. And a thumbs up is a nice thing too. You can contact us, info@mira.fm. WhatsApp.mira.fm is a way to get messages through directly, super quick. We're on our website, mirabusiness.fm, YouTube, Twitch, Rumble, Dailymotion, X, Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. And if you can name it, we are probably there. Now, cars is what we're talking about now. Jacek Ziemek is from X Motors. Many, many years in the supercar, hypercar, very upmarket super hypercar, very nice car business. I'll get there.
Very hard business.
Very hard business. Jacek, nice to see you, first of all.
Thank you for having me.
Good to have you back. You just sent me 3 pictures on WhatsApp. I want to come back and ask you about the continuing saga, the story you were telling me last week. But this car, these pictures you've just sent me, wow. This is, I wish I could describe it. Where's the nearest camera? Where am I looking at? Probably that one there. Is that even going to come out on the camera? We'll post these after, but there you are, just to give you an idea. What a vehicle that is. What is it, first of all?
296 Challenge,
Okay,
the successor of 488 Challenge.
right.
The first challenge from Ferrari with a V6. That's the difference between the road street legal version and this one. It's not a hybrid, so pure sport.
Mm-hmm.
You can use it on the racing track only,
It's
or
just
closed roads.
right. I was going to say. So this has just come into your business.
It's not for sale.
It's not for sale.
It's not for sale. It's
Right.
a car for use inside a company. Our bosses are racers, so it will be hardly used here in Dubai Autodrome and, of course, Yas Marina.
It's an unbelievable looking vehicle. You live and move in
This thing
completely
is
different
trying to
circles.
kill you.
Well, this guy.
This thing is trying to kill you once you're trying to drive it.
It takes a particular level of skill to drive a car like that, doesn't it, I guess? You're not a racer, are you, yourself?
I've been racing for a while, but not the professional level, just for fun.
This is just a fun thing, so this
Yeah.
is not something that you take. Okay, so that's just come in this week. Dare I ask you, is there a value you would put on that? As a, I mean, would it be rude for me to ask you?
Yes.
It's rude.
Yes.
Okay, that's me told. It's just
Honestly speaking, the car arrived this week. We are now arranging the spare parts, but
Right.
it's not like a spare parts. It's parts we have to use the car.
right. Okay.
Like wheels, tires, brakes, everything has to be ready.
So for a car like this, everything is bespoke, custom. It's
Not bespoke, but it's different than for the regular cars.
okay. Okay. And
The
there's
prices are also higher.
there's a price to go along with that. I was going to
It's
say, yeah.
slightly different because also the sales channel is different. It's for the racing division. So it's not like you're not going to the dealership and asking them, I need for the challenge spare parts.
No, I was going to say, I mean, I don't know anything about cars like this, and I'm looking at it thinking, wow. I mean, the colour scheme alone is something else. That has to be said as well. That would have taken some time. So last week you were in here and you were telling us about a story of a client of yours who wanted to send their car to, I think it was South America.
Yeah.
And you were
Yeah,
having
yeah.
to go through the process.
Just
of
after
that?
after the program, I had a meeting with the DHL.
Okay.
They approached me and told me, sir, there's a small issue, let's say small,
Okay.
which can damage all the process.
Okay.
In a case, if the customs with the too tight time frame will find any reason to postpone the shipping, which could be small reason.
It could be anything. It could be
Anything,
a
for example, this
discrepancy in-
paper has to be reapplied. You have to prepare the different version because something is not matching the details on the car.
It's
like
the
this.
wrong stamp.
Yeah,
It's, okay.
simple things.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Then you have to pay the full amount for the shipping, and the car will not go because it's the same story like you paying for the flight ticket. There is no show, right?
Yeah. I get that. Yeah.
So I asked the customer, "Are you ready for that?"
Yeah.
Is it really so serious? Yes. So okay, I'll stay without my car for this short vacation.
Wow. It's different level, isn't it? But I guess if you own a car, well, you didn't tell us
See,
what the
this
car
is
was.
also
but if
this
you
is also
own-
to protect our customer, okay?
Sure.
Because otherwise it will be the first and the last shipping with him.
Yeah, well, I can imagine that. It doesn't look great, does it? But yeah, I just, listening to the story last week, and this is the will of somebody that wants this to be there. They have the cash to cover it. Obviously, it's their new toy. Essentially, it's and you want to drive it, you want to use it. But the stress of having to do that from your point of view is something else, isn't it? It's a different.
It's not a kind of stress. It's like as I said
I would
before,
think that was stressful. I would find that stressful. I got to say.
I was a couple of years ago. I think I would be stressed,
Okay.
but not this time. It's just a process. You have to follow
Yeah.
everything, and yes, no, like algorithm, and otherwise it makes you crazy.
Yeah, I suppose so. But then you want to get to a point where you turn around to your customer and say, "It's all done. I've sorted this for you," but you weren't able to get there. Is that
I
frustrating?
thought he will not contact us, but early this week we received another inquiry from him
Okay.
for shipping his ultra car, we can say, not even a hypercar.
Not even. There's another level after hypercar. Ultra
One
car.
of the, we can say something like this, and
Okay.
once he complete the documents, maybe next week we'll proceed.
Right. Okay. So let me just get this straight then. So supercars are Lamborghinis, Ferraris. Generally, that's a
Oh, yeah.
supercar. A hypercar is.
We can say
Bugatti,
we have three main
Koenigsegg.
brands of the supercar: Bugatti, Pagani, and the Koenigsegg.
So that's hypercars.
Yeah, that's
That's
hybrid.
hypercars. Okay, and everything else that's really, really nice under that is a supercar. So in that case, what is a hypercar? What's sorry?
What decides?
the
What
ultra
decides?
car,
The mostly before it was the performance, but
Right.
once the supercars reach the field of the hypercars in the meaning of performance,
Uh-huh.
we start to talk about the price.
Okay, so
We can
those
say
are the levels.
the $1 million is like a kind of threshold to decide a supercar or a
So
hypercar.
that's the leap from supercar to
Yeah.
hypercar. So what's the leap from hypercar to ultra car? Call it?
We can say ultra car is a very rare hypercar.
Oh, I see. Okay.
It's
Anything
my
that-
own definition, so don't try to follow.
No, I mean I like that. Well, you're the man in the business, so I mean so is there a particular
You have, for example, and the good example is like we have a McLaren P1, the
Okay.
previous. Now we are waiting for the successor W1, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there was a short batch of the P1 made fully of carbon fiber with the visible carbon fiber.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So we can say it was ultra car. 5 of them were made like this. We had it in the showroom.
Okay, so the rarity and the level, obviously,
Yes,
from the
yes,
rarity
yes.
and the
Yeah.
prices according to that. Okay, gotcha. Is there a particular ultra car that people are looking to own that you've had inquiries about, aside from the P1, the carbon fiber P1?
You know, it's if someone is asking you for such a thing here, it's probably very, very hard to find, and he's asking everyone.
Okay.
So when someone is asking for such a thing, I'm always asking him, why me?
Oh, I see.
Am I so important that you're looking for it here?
Uh-huh.
All the other options are exhausted?
Okay, I'm with you. I understand that. So we've got supercar, hypercar, ultracar. Ultracar, in terms of price level, would there be a level for that?
It's not like a level, it's a rarity.
It's just the rarity. So price, it could almost be priceless in some ways. It's
Sometimes yes.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Okay.
yes. Sometimes the auction decides what's the real price, right?
Yeah. What's the most unusual car you've found for somebody here?
It's not the most expensive, but I was very surprised. We had a garage here
Uh huh.
for the supercars, And one day we received a Ferrari, I think it was a F12,
Mm.
and last of the car, manufactured in the factory, they opened the hood, and on the engine cover, all of the people involved in the final assembling of the car making a signatures on it.
Ah, okay.
This is very rare supercar, and I was surprised. I opened the hood and I found this in the car. So this is not like a very rare, very expensive, but this is it's nice. You see these people who are struggling, for example, 3-4 years building their car, manufacturing those cars, and finally the last one they put their signatures there. Finish. Next chapter.
That's a nice thing to see. So that would have been like, what would that been end of that line or particular model, or was it just?
Yeah. They're
That's
changing
what it
the model.
was.
They're changing the model.
Right. Okay. And all of the people involved in the construction,
Yeah.
building the car. Nice. So if you see that on a vehicle, that there's a special kind of place for that.
It's
kind
like
of car.
it's like a T-shirt from the footballer, okay, with his autograph.
Okay. Let me ask you about a couple of stories that I sent you a few stories this week, and I don't know if you've had a chance to look through them, but there's some interesting stuff
The
going on.
most important thing from the last Sunday was São Paulo Grand Prix.
Oh, okay. Well, tell me about that then. I'm not a watcher of Grand Prix. I got to be honest with you.
McLaren took everything
Mm-hmm.
what was possible,
Yeah.
but the most surprising was Max Verstappen,
Mm.
who been third,
Yep.
starting from the pit lane. With
He's-
the three pit stops
Yeah.
during the race, it's amazing. I think he has no chance to win the championship this year, but doing this last Sunday, he proved that he is still the champion.
Well, I was going to ask you that. Do you think is he the most talented? I always think of him as being a bit of a machine. I mean, a machine in a good way. He just seems to have this, I don't know, incredible natural ability.
It's hard work. It's a hard work.
Is it just
You
work,
know
or is it
the
just ability?
ability, talent, and hard work. Remember the F1 movie?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
quite like that.
There was a premiere in Monaco.
Yep.
All the F1 drivers were invented. What was doing Max Verstappen this day? Fighting in the Nürburgring.
Really?
So
no time even for Brad Pitt.
yeah, it's like a hobby. It's like his life. So I think it's the best driver now in the Formula One. I wasn't his fan, but he's the best. For
But you have to respect what he does,
Yeah.
whatever you think of
Yeah.
him. I know the opinion is
We
very
have to
split
respect this
over him.
kind of level of racing.
Yeah. What did you think of the F1 movie? You mentioned it there. Did you like it? I mean, lots of it filmed here over a period of time. It's very
As
kind
a
of Top
Formula
Gun.
One, you watching this movie with a kind of different angle.
Okay.
You understand more thing what's going on. You know that some things are not possible to happen, but it's a nice movie.
Okay. No, I'm with you. I thought the way it was filmed was the key, because it felt like you were in the car at points, and there were I felt like there was you had a feeling of the speed, and that's a very hard thing to get across, because if you've never watched Formula One, I've watched it a little bit, and I've been at
Honestly speaking, it's
The
a good movie,
speed
but
is-
sometimes the races are more involving than this movie.
No, for sure. No, I get you there. But the speed of Formula One is a very hard thing to get across, because for a lot of people it's just, cars going by. And I understand that point of view. But when you actually watch it and you see the speed, if a movie can kind of translate the speed that these cars move at on the track to the cinema, I think that was a real achievement.
This is
you know?
for me. It's when I'm going to Formula One race.
Yeah.
You know, the day starts with a different series, and then it's coming the time for the Formula One cars.
Yes.
And the feeling is different. It's it's making all your hairs stand up immediately.
I can understand that. It's the whole spectacle of that,
Yeah.
isn't it? Yeah. Look, we were talking about hypercars a few moments ago. There is a hypercar rally next year. happening here in the
March.
Emirates. This
March?
is,
March.
I believe it is. It's the only Legends Drive UAE. So 19th to the 22nd of March, directly after Eid
I
al
think
Fitr.
we'll be there. We will be there.
You'll be there? Are you
I'm not sure.
not participating, or just to
Company for sure.
company for sure? Okay, so this is a curated journey. It crosses all 7 Emirates. Very limited group of collectors, drivers. You have to be invited, I think, to do this. And I wanted to bring this up with you.
I'm sure we are already working on it.
Yeah, I'm getting the feeling you are, not that you're sure, but Emirates Motorsport Organisation do this. It's a really interesting thing. I mean, it's way beyond me, but it's all about passion and purpose. Invitation only, registration's capped at 100 driver entries. It's expensive, $100,000.
In this world of the cars,
Yeah. If invitation only, that's
what
what you
you can
have
buy
to pay.
for it? An engine?
What I was going to say, a tyre, probably? I'm not sure. Tell me about it. But it's a nice idea, this, and they're doing things for the environment as well. Drive green, leave gold. They're going to plant trees to offset the carbon footprint, and I think the trees are going to be planted in the name of the driver or something. So there's that side. There's also a charity side to this as well.
This is important.
But it is. It's very important. The charity is, I believe, it's Make-A-Wish UAE. That's what it is. But it's 100 hypercars crossing the 7 Emirates. If you think of that, just in terms of the photos, fantastic spectacle. You think, you're sure that something's happening within your organisation to take part in this. Would you suggest a hypercar that you might drive for this? Or would that be rude to ask?
See, we are now in the middle of November, so
We are.
until March, many things can happen.
Oh, I see. So, I know you're so cagey with me, Cheng. So you're probably going to be involved, and there will be a new vehicle coming in.
That's
that,
the problem is, let's say we have now for sale a Bugatti. That's an example. Okay, getting this car to make let's say 1,000 kilometers during this event.
Yeah.
Lowers the value of the car. So you have to choose wisely.
Sure.
Choose the car which already has a mileage, which this mileage will not affect its value, and also should be a proper one, right? So it's not easy choice.
No, it's not. And I think that's one of the things about hypercars, isn't it? Hypercars are they're works of art, really. They're marvels of engineering. They're design elegance and everything else. And I wonder, you need to be at a certain level to use it on the road, to drive the car, don't you?
It's meant to drive.
No, I know it. I know it's meant to drive, but I think I always see pictures of these amazing houses with the indoor garage, and there are 4 or 5 beautiful hypercars in there, and they're kept in air-conditioned luxury. Probably quite a lot nicer than my house, I would contend. But you have to make a decision that this is the car I'm gonna. I would find that hard. I would just want to look at it and sit in it, push the buttons, But that's just me. Because as you say, if it lowers the value of the car if you drive it that far,
And many things can happen, right?
Well, for sure. Yeah.
Maybe a couple of camels will cross the street and
entirely possible. A marshal might get in the way.
And someone from management in the insurance should consider the suicide.
Or not. But do you find that with people when you're talking to people about the car that they're looking for? Is there a percentage of people that are really using a hypercar regularly?
It's really depends of the people. Okay, some of them are buying those cars just to have fun. I remember that's not a comparable, but I remember I had a customer in my country who'd been using his supercar mostly in the winter. He was buying the set of the winter tires and was telling me it's a pleasure to drive this car because it's so much suitable for these hard conditions. The handling is so good, so it's one of the best opportunities to drive it.
Okay.
Other people, if only see the possibility of the rain, are closing the garages and they're taking the metro.
That's so interesting. So somebody in Poland, Poland is cold, I guess, snow in the winter,
Yeah,
rain,
sure.
obviously,
Yeah,
and if
yeah.
it's really cold, you're putting salt down to get
And
rid of
he
the
was
snow.
right. I drove his cars these
Yeah.
days. He had this time, as far as I remember, it was Ferrari 430 and the Maserati Gran Turismo,
Uh-huh.
both with the proper tires.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure, really, driving in the winter. This car.
Well, they are, as you say, they are meant to be driven. All right, let's move on. You're a big fan of Teslas. I think that's fair to say, yeah? You of all the electric cars, you're a fan of the Tesla more than the other ones.
I asked Nakhil this week, is it possible to fix the charger in my apartment? Not the basement.
In the basement?
building.
Okay. And is it happening?
I don't know. Just an inquiry. I don't think so, but it's good to try.
Sure. Well, what do you think of what's going on at Tesla? There's a couple of stories. First story, I guess, is Elon Musk's $1 trillion pay package. I'm interested in what you think about that. And it means he will be at Tesla for at least 7.5 years. Any thoughts on that? Do you think?
This is just one of his marketing moves, I think.
You think so?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you look at that fairly cynically then.
My
It's the
friend,
shareholders
I
doing
spoke with my
this.
friend. He spent last 2 weeks, I think, in Shenzhen, China.
Okay.
He told me it's amazing. You're staying in the middle of the city, and there's a silence. All of the cars are electric.
Well, that's the strange difference with electric cars, isn't it? I know it's kind of odd. You have to look very carefully when you cross the road, far more carefully. I know that. But is it at that point in Shenzhen where so many of the vehicles?
But they sorted out it is in the simple way. The prices are low, and you can charge your car at every corner. So make it here, and then people will follow.
Well, it's very much about the charging network, isn't it, with electric cars? Okay. So not worried about that. My question, though, about all of this with Elon Musk is how do you keep him focused on Tesla? Because I guess that's what the shareholders are banking on. How do you keep a guy like that? I mean, you can't control him, obviously.
Since Elon involved in politics last year, the sales are not so great like before.
It was certainly affected, yeah. Okay. Well, he'll be there for 7.5 more years. The other story...
But it's, like, it's not reasonable to connect the owner of the company, the chairman, the politics, and the product. It's ridiculous.
But he personifies Tesla for most people. I think if you say Tesla to most people, it would be Elon Musk. Whatever you think of Elon Musk, whether it's positive or negative, doesn't matter. But he would jump into mind with me, for sure.
For
and I
most
guess that's
people,
most
this
people.
Tesla is like A to B, like we discussed before, like other kind of Toyota, right? So,
you see, other car brands, and I can't think of another car brand where I would think so quickly and so where the owner would be so prominent. The first thing I think of when somebody says Tesla is Elon Musk. And I think it's a slightly different thing. Do you know what I mean? That's where I'm coming from with this, and it's the ability for him to be focused on that, because obviously he has lots of other projects.
so you see the American soldiers when you starting your car?
Do I see American soldiers? No, clearly not. But it's the one car brand where the guy behind it is very much the brand kind of thing to me. Remember the pictures at the White House with President Trump and the Teslas outside the White House? I mean, as a marketing opportunity, I'm not a massive fan of Elon Musk, but I have to take my hat off to him for that. That was a genius piece of marketing. Those photos are worth
You have
millions.
an opportunity to read his biography?
I've not read it, no.
It's worth read.
Okay. What stands out for you? Why would you say that?
To try understand this point of view, and to try understand this kind of, how we call them, geniuses, okay? They are not genius. They are very consequent, and they are, let's say, different than others.
That's for sure. Yeah. Different would be the word I would use.
But we always see the end of the road. We don't know what was before, how hard it was.
Yeah, fair enough. No, I mean, we see the results, and we're all fooled by the headlines of the $1 trillion package and all of this and the wealth, and whatever you think of that, there is a backstory to that. Yeah,
I'm
that's
not. I think we should not judge him. Just observe, just see what he's doing. That's all.
okay. I'm not sure I agree with that, but I'm going to go with you for a change. The other Tesla story, and I think this is a really interesting story, is Sadin Aswathi, who was the Cybertruck chief. Lots of news about Cybertrucks. I saw one the other day, actually, that had been done in matte black, and I changed my opinion. I quite liked it. But he's leaving after 8 years, and I don't know what that means for Tesla or what that could mean.
We'll see.
There have been a few people who've left recently. That's an interesting thing. But young guy that starts as an intern and ends up, I think 8 years later, has created this, whether you think it's a great truck or a monster on the roads, whatever you think, it's certainly different. Have you had, I guess you've had a Cybertruck or two. You've not had a Cybertruck, no? There's no interest in them, or really? Because that would be like, if you've got a couple of hypercars, you'd have a Cybertruck for fun, wouldn't you?
No.
People don't.
Completely.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you not think, there's nobody asked anything
It's
about
opposite.
that?
It's opposite.
It's completely. That's interesting. Okay.
It's electric. It's huge.
It's enormous, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I never drove, but I think the brakes are, let's say, for this weight, should be, this car should have a brakes like a Ferrari or Lamborghini, but it's not for sure.
Well, if you're stomping something that big, you do need to make sure the brakes.
This is the same, which is the problem. The same problem is the top-notch series of the Chinese electric cars.
Right.
Weak brakes.
Why is that?
Because of the price.
Is that what it is? Okay. Because, in terms of safety, you need to be able to stop your car.
It's not about the safety.
Well, brakes are about safety. Of course they are. I know what you mean. But that's a pretty important part of a car, the brakes.
It's also part of the pleasure from driving. Performance means also good brakes.
Right? Well, yeah, absolutely. And the more power you have, the better your brakes, the bigger the discs need to be, for sure. Yeah, well, there were a number of recalls
if you want to tune up the car, the first step should be the brakes and the suspension, then the engine.
Yeah, well, that makes sense. Yeah. No, I've seen that. I've watched those car shows. I've seen a few of those shows. So no Cybertruck interest at all in your business?
No.
Nobody's even asked? I love the way you're so
we discussed.
Like,
I think it was a year ago. We discussed. I thought. I told to one of our team members, I'm thinking about the Tesla. You want to quit the company? Really?
But you're a fan of those above all. You're not a fan of the Chinese cars. I've learned that over the last few weeks. But
it's too early. It's too early. It's not like I'm not the fan. It's too early.
Oh, that's okay.
They have to kill all the brands all around, then start their own kingdom.
Which is you're seeing now, aren't you, with the likes of BYD and Geely and all of those brands. And some of them, I have to say, I keep seeing here on the roads different cars, and I think, well, that looks like, oh no, that's not. And there's more and more are coming.
True.
Every day, and clearly. There's some research and development happening now. I think that was one of the issues you had, that maybe drivetrains were a little bit older.
I think it will happen with the automotive and the supercars. The future is similar, like it happened with cameras, still cameras.
Okay.
We have mobiles with the cameras. We are using on a vacation, on events everywhere. Okay.
Yeah, you don't.
And there is nothing in the middle, and then you have top-notch cameras used by the professionals, right?
In lots of ways. For most of us now, do you take a camera?
I think it will happen. No. It will happen with the cars as well. You will have a special super hyper cars, okay, and the rest for everyone, electric, cheap.
Okay, that's the way it's going to go.
I think.
Oh, you'll be driving your Tesla, assuming they put the charger in the building downstairs.
We'll see.
Yeah. What did you drive here today in?
You know,
No, I
PM.
Oh, it's okay. So I just thought maybe you'd have changed because you've got access to more cars than most of us.
To make a mileage is enough. Okay.
Okay. No, I've got you. All right then. What was the other thing I wanted to ask you? I can't remember what it was now. Let me just see if I can find it. No, we pretty much covered everything. I'll be honest with you. So Tesla, you think that's the Elon Musk thing is just it's just a marketing headline?
Of course.
Okay, good, good. I like
Or
it.
just the ego.
Yeah, well, there's a little bit of that as well, I suppose. It's
See what
always-
happened when Elon bought the Twitter, changed the name to X.
Yes.
Okay, and then remove or change the algorithms. You can say whatever you want there. You can post whatever you need there.
Oh, it changed.
Yeah.
It's a very different thing to where Twitter was.
It's like a
couple of years
trash
ago.
bin of social media now.
It's kind of hardcore now. you have to be of a particular leaning to enjoy it. I have to say, I haven't looked at Twitter for a long time. Jacek Ziomek is from X Motors. I always like talking to you. You know, I do. Talking hypercars, supercars, and a new term today, ultra
I have a
cars.
similar feeling.
I'm always told. Jacek, thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. It's Mira Business FM. Don't forget, you can get in touch with us, info@mira.fm. You can also WhatsApp directly through whatsapp.mira.fm. And wherever you find us online, give us a subscribe, a like, let us know how you feel, a thumbs up. It's always appreciated. It's the Morning Drive on Mira Business FM.
Mira Business FM.